Kerry Davis on the opening drive. Presented by Sumner One.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis, where it's 7 o'clock. On Friday at this time, it was 8. And right now, it's 7. So we're actually we're seeing daylight outside.
I'm not a fan of it.
You don't like this?
I don't like daylight
He
savings.
doesn't like daylight savings because his playoffs ended.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Randy!
I don't like
Wow.
you're not wrong.
Whoa.
I don't like much right now. I'm going to be a little bit of a grouch, a little grumpy old man today. Hey, just everything whatever. Good for them. Good they lost. Glad they did too.
Oh, by the way, 7:01 now. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grimsley is back on the heels of falling in a bet to Kerry Davis.
You forgot it.
Kerry Davis.
It's okay.
Tomorrow.
No, you don't have to do
I
that,
completely
Kerry.
forgot. Listen,
Kerry, you don't have to
do.
do that.
I didn't think about much after Friday night. My brain has been on autopilot, just kind of meandering through the days, trying to figure it out. Yeah,
Got it.
It's life.
That's the voice of the Super Bowl champion, Kerry Davis. Matthew Rocchio is here. He's given me pronunciations for soccer, which is good.
Football? Is that on there?
Football, yeah. Football. The Blues are successful now. The Blues won 2 in a row.
Are successful now.
They are. Somebody
They are
didn't the Athletics say they wouldn't win or lose 2 in a row? And
Was it 2 or 3?
They were young. No, they were wrong. Yeah, they said something like that.
2 or 3.
Yeah.
They got to win one
was
more
2.
to make it a winning streak.
Yeah, they do. And they will. They have the Jets in town tomorrow night. So hashtag LGB. We did see Sporting KC fall yesterday, or Sporting KC. We wish we would have seen them fall. St. Louis CSC fell to Sporting KC by a score of 2-1, and a disappointing finish to what was an amazing inaugural season for St. Louis City SC.
It was, and I'm trying to separate the two, right? Because I think you can celebrate the regular season, but right now this is painful. Getting knocked out in the first round, especially in this fashion against a rivalry that you're really building up against Sporting KC. Yes, I went back to Sporting KC because they earned that respect of not being called Sporting Kansas anymore. And there was some things towards the end of the game that I liked, or the match, I should say, Randy, since you have your pronunciation guide over there. But there was a lot of things I didn't like. Kyle Hebert, I thought was great. There were some disappointing moments from Akil Watts. Blum, he was caught flat-footed on that first goal. There were some frustrating moments, and I think you can still celebrate the big picture of this was a very successful inaugural season, first season for City SC as you're laying the foundation. But at the same time, to lose in that manner in the first round is very frustrating. And it sounds like the fans, of course, were frustrated, but the players, too.
Yeah, yesterday in Kansas, they go scoreless, and you think, okay, we're going to halftime scoreless, but halftime in soccer is a little bit more. So it was the 45-plus first minute when Sporting Kansas's Logan scored.
Logan and Dembe. There will be a minimum 1 minute of stoppage time in this first half. Shallowy, Alan Polino, over to Dembe, and Dembe!
Okay, you can give it that. You can give it that pronunciation.
What did you just say?
It's spelled NDE, NBE, NDE.
Sorry, it makes me think of that SNL skit with Chance the Rapper where he's the hockey reporter and he was the NBA reporter, and the hockey player turns around and he's like, yep, nope, not saying that.
So 1-0 Kansas at the intermission. And then in the 73rd minute, you're still thinking, okay, something's going to happen here. By the way, not a lot of great pressure applied by St. Louis City SC, but then Daniel Saloy came through for Kansas, too.
Keenan's in the middle. Keenan might be behind. A Shallowy as well. Keenan! Shallowy!
Somebody's got to tell this kid how to pronounce his name. Saloy. S-A-L-L-O-I. Saloy.
I can't right now. Randy, they beat us. You can't do this today.
Shallowy.
Oh,
Okay,
man.
if he wants to be shallow, he's a pretty shallow guy. And then they got one more. Or they didn't. We got one from Pompeo late.
But it hasn't been Leuven tonight. It's been Vasilev that's been dangerous.
It is Leuven. This is a better ball, but it's Russell who gets to it. The first man heads it away. Pompeo to the back post. Oh, and one! What a goal from Celiu Pompeo!
And we got 12 minutes of extra time and still couldn't come through. And City falls by a score of 2-1, and the season is over. But what a run it was. And just some of the numbers for St. Louis City SC. Finished the regular season 17-12-5. 17 wins set the record for the most wins by an expansion team in MLS history. First expansion team in MLS history to win their conference in their inaugural season. Joined Atlanta United, LAFC, and the Chicago Fire as the only expansion teams to score 60 or more goals in their debut seasons. 16 different players got on the score sheet. Just a magnificent season. Congratulations to Carolyn Kindle and to Lutz Pfannenstiel and to Bradley Carnell and all the players, and mostly all the fans who, by the way, represented big time yesterday.
They did.
At Children's Mercy Park.
There was a lot of red in the stands, and that was the biggest thing, is that the fan base was just fantastic all season long, building up that fandom. This is something that's, of course, been in the works for a long time, and it seemed like the outside world, those national pundits, didn't believe or understand why St. Louis would be the soccer capital. That history has been here. The fans have been here waiting for this moment, and they showed up this season. And for the most part, CSC showed up this season, too. Historic season, like I said, during the regular season, but postseason is a whole different animal, and that's what was showcased.
Yeah, it is. And you know, I think that it being City's first time ever, first season ever, they had a great season, but first time ever in the playoffs, I think there will be some things, some lessons that are learned from that. You have to, the intensity changes no matter the sport once the playoffs hit. It's more. I don't know why. I don't know why it is. It just is. There's more intensity. It feels like every single play matters more. And if you aren't
Kind of like the SEC.
Yeah, well, something like that. Unless, well, we'll get to that later. But every single play matters. And I do think, I think they were a little bit stunned in game one when Sporting KC came out and punched them in the mouth. And I don't know that, they really, I know they knew that they were in the playoffs, but the intensity of the playoffs, until you actually go through that moment and experience it, you have no clue. And so game two, better, but just still not enough. Sporting KC was on their game. They played an extremely good game, and so unfortunately, City is at home and they'll be done.
Meanwhile, they're out of the playoffs. If the NHL playoffs started today, the Blues would be in them as the last wild card team on the heels of this 2-game winning streak, beating New Jersey on Friday night over at Enterprise Center, and then on Saturday night, the Montreal Canadiens in town, and a minute 24 into the game, the Blues get on the board.
The Blues can't clear. Now they do. They get it to Shen. Partial break. He shoots, and he shoots it wide of the goal. Now is Saad in front. Backdoor to Kyrou. He scores! Jordan Kyrou waiting for the patient feed from the captain, Braden Shen. And the Blues take a 1-0 lead. 1 minute, 24 seconds into the first period.
Montreal tied it at the 4:01 mark, but before the first period was out.
Blues win the draw. Montreal's going to rush the puck out of the zone as they jumped into the space. Blues will get it back in. Thomas to the middle. On his forehand. Score! Robert Thomas. Goals in 3 straight games. And the Blues have taken a 2-1 lead. 3:23 to go. First period.
Great goal by Bobby Tommy. It was 2-1 after 1. Brandon Saad scoring early in the second. And then in the third, Toropchenko, Schenner, and Kapanen for the Blues. Kapanen with an empty netter. And the Blues win it by a score of 6-3 over the Montreal Canadiens. And the Blues now have 11 points. And all of a sudden you look, and their record is 5-4-1. And you say, okay, well, they're on a roll here. Something good might happen.
That was a great goal by Robert Thomas and Bobby Tommy. And I think that the one thing I watched over the weekend, I thought the fourth line played with such great energy. Watching those guys really get after it, that was exciting. Can they be consistent?
That's
because
a good question.
That is the one thing that has been their issue, I think, for this year so far and all of last year, just the inconsistency. One game, you'll play extremely well. You'll see all of the pieces come together. And then the next game, you're like, who the hell are these guys? And I know it depends on who you're playing at times. The opponent matters, but what the opponent cannot dictate is your energy and your effort. That's all you. So will they be able to continue with that type of effort? Will they be able to continue with that type of mentality? I hope so, but until they show it on a consistent basis, I'm talking 4, 5, 6 games in a row, then, I'll leave that to be seen, because I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, well, because in 10 games, that's what you've seen, right? Correct. A lot of highs and lows, a lot of ups and downs. But in the game this weekend, specifically against the Canadians, good forecheck, crisp passing, and you had taking the shot instead of the extra pass. That was something I was impressed by, because there were so many times that happened where it was like they're taking the extra pass instead of just shooting the puck and skating hard. That's what Blues hockey is supposed to look like, and that is the big question. Can they do it on a consistent level and do that during not just 2 stretches of back-to-back games, but more than one as well?
How about that? How about shooting the puck? How about that's how you score goals, and they actually did it?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And Jordan Kyrou, Robert Thomas, those are the games that we are expecting to see from those two.
Yeah, those are $8 million plays. Yeah.
You gotta have it.
Saturday in Athens, you're already aware of this. Georgia beat Mizzou 30-21. Can't turn the ball over. Brady Cook with a couple of interceptions. Georgia did not turn it over, and Mizzou falls by a score of 30-21. Georgia's just a better football team, and at the end of the day, when you have a lot of better players, you're going to win the game. So Missouri to keep it within 15.5. And to threaten Georgia, in the 2.5 years now that Georgia has gone without losing a game, the teams, Missouri has really handled them as well as anybody. They're the one team that scared them twice is Mizzou, but Mizzou just isn't to Georgia's level. I don't know if they ever will be to Georgia's level, but they gave it a good run, and they take on Tennessee this weekend.
Missouri I know I've seen on the internet, on Twitter, people complaining about the referees and, they didn't call this, and, what about this call? Missouri had an opportunity, down 27-21. They held Georgia to a field goal, and then they get the ball, and then they immediately turn it over. They hold them to another field goal, and then they turn it over again. I don't care about all of the other things that happen in a game. The players have to make the play. You get a chance to beat the number 2 team in the country at their home, down by 6, and you turn the ball over. You have to take care of the football. You cannot make those mistakes. Everyone has to be on the same page, working their butt off to ensure that those things don't happen. Only thing you can ask for is an opportunity late in the game with an opportunity to go ahead or win the game, and Missouri had that. And so they didn't take care of the business. They turned the ball over. Good game by them. They didn't get smacked, but it has to be a little bit more frustrating knowing that you're down 6 points with the football, with a chance to go the length of the field to tie that game up or go ahead in that game.
And there's no such thing as moral victories, right? But Mizzou, I felt like, really competed well against Georgia. And Randy, as you mentioned, they do that. They are able to compete well with Georgia. But when you're looking at the rankings right now, I thought Mizzou performed like a top 15 team, but it came down to those mental mistakes, right, towards the end for Mizzou. And Georgia going in the red zone 2 more times, and then Mizzou losing the turnover battle 2-0. That was the difference. And CD, you mentioned that being one of the keys last week is you can't make mistakes against a team like Georgia, and that was just deflating at the end there. Brady Cook with that interception by that D lineman Stackhouse, right?
Yeah.
That big guy interception, that's always a deflating moment, but there's still some positives, and I think the takeaway for me, no moral victories, but at the same time, Mizzou deserves to be ranked, and they proved that against Georgia, and Cody Schrader needs to be playing on Sundays here soon, and I think that there's some other players defensively that I think that we'll see playing on Sundays in the NFL coming from Mizzou, but Cody Schrader was really, really good against Georgia.
I am thrilled for a young man like that, because you go to a D2 school. He was ripping it up here in St. Louis and had a great high school career. Didn't get the looks because of how college football works now. go to a D2 school, walk on, he killed it there, walks on at Mizzou, and now he is one of the top running backs in the SEC and in the country. You have to tip your cap to a young man like that. Taking the long road, not being frustrated, not saying, woe is me, I deserve this. No, I'm just working my butt off and show you all that I deserve it, and he's proven it every single day.
And there have been a lot of years where a Mizzou offensive line had no chance against a Georgia defensive line. And that's generally the way it should be because Georgia's getting 4 and 5 star guys, Mizzou's getting 2 and 3 star guys. Missouri's offensive line stood up to Georgia's defensive line. So kudos to them as well. And they gave Schrader the holes. College basketball starts tonight. Mizzou is going to be home against Arkansas Pine Bluff. Eastern Illinois is at the University of Illinois and right here in St. Louis at Chaffetz Arena. Southern Indiana will visit the Billikens. So college basketball is here right on the heels of the end of the baseball season.
It's
ILL.
flying by.
It is.
This year is flying by.
It's a flying.
Y'all beat Kansas, Kerry. I'm a Illini fan for the next 6 months.
Oh, good.
Till December.
Outside of that one day in December.
Till December.
Did you say you're going to be an Illinois fan? Is that?
Because we beat Kansas.
I'm always down to root for Illinois basketball. Illinois basketball is always fun. I have no problem with Illinois football either. It's just,
What about tennis
Saturday?
States?
Yes, you did. That was a big win.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Who'd you drill?
We didn't drill. We won.
Oh.
It was Minnesota 27-26.
And then your boy got some more time in the NFL.
Tommy DeVito?
Yeah.
It might be his last time in the NFL. Gotta love him, but you gotta play better, brother.
Let's see, 24, 25. I think in 26, Lindenwood opens up with Minnesota.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll handle those Golden Gophers.
Get him.
Get them. All right, we're off and running here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. You can watch us on our Air Alliance Team Studio Cam. Just go to YouTube and search 101 ESPN STL, and you'll be able to watch us. And we're going to talk to Chris Kerber later in the show. A lot coming up here on 101, including, next up, what we love from the weekend on the opening drive. Flash from Dallas, apparently official. Our opening drive video is now working. Apparently it was not working off the bat, but it's working now. Matthew, are you aware of this?
I am aware of it, yes.
Okay.
And I was aware of it before the 7 comments on YouTube and the 8 texts.
Okay, good.
That we got into our wonderful text line at 314-399-9646. So yeah, we got it all fixed. I hit the
31399. Yo!
Yeah. I hit the one button that needed to be hit. There was
good.
one stupid button. There's always just one stupid button. If anyone asks you, what was the issue? It was probably just one dumb button.
All right.
Well, now you can add video engineer to your resume.
Yeah.
Audio and video engineer.
You know what? Now that we do the cameras and stuff, and we do a little more video content around the station, yeah, I'm adding it in.
Good.
There you go.
All right. What did we love about the weekend? Brooke, take it away.
Number 2.
I'm going to start off with congratulating City SC fans and seeing the amount of support. Randy, you were showing me the video. I know that our friend of the show, Chris Muir, was out there for supporting City SC, and it's not the way that you wanted things to end, of course, but it has been a amazing, fantastic, whatever you want to describe it as, regular season for City SC, not the way that you want to get knocked out of the first round, but the fans, to me, were the MVP of the season. The way that they continue to show up, the way that they made the home atmosphere, City Park, just absolutely electric and hard to compete in. I think that that says a lot about St. Louisans and St. Louis fans in general and soccer fans here in St. Louis. So congratulations to City SC fans for really building this atmosphere, something that is going to be, you know, seen as across all soccer as kind of the standard of what you're looking for in a fan base.
For me, I'm going to be football heavy today based on what I saw yesterday. I'm going to start with the Houston Texans and give C.J. Stroud some love, because he went 30 for 42, 470 yards, 5 touchdowns. They beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Dare Ogunbowale, a backup running back.
Say that again?
Dare Ogunbowale.
Well done.
Backup running back kicks a go-ahead field goal because their starting kicker got hurt. D'Amico Ryans and what he's doing with that team, C.J. Stroud, the perfect draft pick for that team, just how great they are playing is spectacular. And how can you not? C.J. Stroud took that team down there with less than a minute left and won that game. It was spectacular. Watching him play football has to make a bunch of teams that selected quarterbacks in this past year's draft envious that they didn't go get him.
You know, it's interesting that part of it, even NFL people will tell you, is the Ohio State quarterback syndrome.
Yes.
Because Ohio State quarterbacks hadn't succeeded. Now one has. It's like the old Big 12 quarterback. People wouldn't take Big 12 quarterbacks because they had never won. Then Patrick Mahomes happened. You got to scout the individual.
Just take one.
Yeah.
Guys, my number 2, and I'm going to go football too. And yes, does Randy hold a grudge? Yes, he does. But at least I admit it. But I take such glee in the Rams and Cowboys losing. And yesterday, you got both of them on TV in St. Louis, and the Rams get drilled by the hapless Packers, no less, by a score of 20-3. That was fun. And then just to have the Eagles steal the thought of a win from the Cowboys was so much fun. Cowboys thought they had that thing, but you know what? Cowboys can't play when the chips are down, and the Eagles can. And so the Eagles come away with a 28-23 victory, and it was glorious. I loved it.
You're
Beautiful.
so excited.
Oh, it's so great. It's beautiful. It's so great. Yeah, those two guys. And you know what? It has nothing to do with the players or the coaches. Just to see the two owners have to suffer. I don't know if Stan suffers as much as Jerry does, but to see them lose is wonderful.
We need a campaign for like a camera in their little suite so we can see their reactions.
Oh, yeah. That'd be funny.
Randy Cam. We can name it that.
Yeah, okay.
You can get it sponsored.
We can do that. Yeah, let's do that.
So you can see their pain and suffering.
I love it.
Number 1.
My number 1 is going to be this past weekend I went home, so I'm going to also segue into some football because I got to spend some time with my parents. It's my mom's birthday today, so we celebrated that.
Birthday.
Happy birthday, Irma. She listens
Irma.
every morning. Yes, and so does my dad. She listens every single morning. And then I also got to spend time with my dad. We watched the Titans game. And for me, it was just a very special moment because that is why I got into sports, is because of my dad. My mom also loves football too. But just spending time watching the games with my dad Was it fun at times to watch the Titans? No, but even in the bad moments, being able to spend that with him brought back a lot of fond memories. And I haven't been able to watch a game with him, just us two in the same city together, in a really long time. So it was just really special to be able to share that.
I think sports is the best bonding agent between parents and kids.
Yes.
You know, whether it's kids playing them or just sitting watching together. That was definitely my favorite memories as a kid are going to football Cardinal games with my dad.
Yeah, exactly. My dad also, when I got home, he had a photo ready of when he would do the face paint and the flame head because he wanted to show me that.
Oh, that's so
and
cool. He had one of the flame heads?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, yes. And that just brings back so many memories, right, of going with him to games and experiencing that. And that's where my sports fandom started from. He also had a Wycheck jersey and also Eddie George jersey ready to go in case the Titans beat the Steelers, but that didn't happen. So
We appreciate the effort. Here we go, Steelers. For me, my number one, I mean, let's talk about it. Joshua Dobbs gets traded last week to the Minnesota Vikings. Not expected to play. They were going to go with the rookie Jaron Hall, and he gets injured, gets concussed in the first quarter. Joshua Dobbs is literally on the sideline learning the cadence. He does the plays. He can't even get the center to snap the ball correctly because he doesn't know their verbiage for how they are going to snap it. He is taking snaps on the sideline. All of the offensive linemen as well as the coaches are surrounding him, and they are going through the cadence. He doesn't know his teammates' names, and he's able to give the Packers a chance in that game. Sorry, the Vikings a chance in that game versus the Falcons. Came back and won it. I mean, listen, Joshua Dobbs can play some football, and he deserves an opportunity to be starting somewhere. He did this year. He did a great job with the Arizona Cardinals while he was playing. They obviously don't want to win games, so they don't want a guy that can help them win games. They moved on from him. But he is a very, very good quarterback, and I thought that was outstanding for a young man to come in, not even know the guys on the team, and help that team win the game.
He's literally a rocket scientist from
Tennessee. Well, he's not from Tennessee, is he?
University
of Tennessee, coming from the University of Tennessee. Rocket scientist with a rocket arm. How about that? But I think he was the epitome of stay ready so you don't have to get ready. The way that he was able to step up to that challenge says a lot about him and his IQ. How about that?
Very intelligent.
My number one, guys, do me a favor. Regardless of how old you are, as a baseball fan, a Cardinal fan, go to YouTube and just type in Ozzie Smith highlights. I had the great good fortune of leading a conversation with Ozzie Smith at the Lindenwood Gala on Friday night. And my introduction to good baseball was the 1980s Cardinals and Whitey Ball and Ozzie Smith. And we had a chance because the demographic was older. Usually we're talking to young people. The demographic was a group that had seen Ozzie play. So we got to talk about things during the 80s, and he got to tell some stories. And he's a great storyteller. It's wonderful. But before we got to the conversation, there was a video, and it literally took my breath away because I still can't believe it. And you forget. If the last time you watched him play was the year he retired in 1996, you need to go be reminded of how unbelievable Ozzie Smith was, because he truly was, and you didn't need any shifts for Ozzie Smith. It's amazing how balls would be hit up the middle and he wouldn't be in the picture, and then all of a sudden he would. And he would be on the other side of second base making a diving play. And the quickness and the athleticism with which he played the sport, I long for those days. And I hope that Mason Wynn's athleticism is utilized by the Cardinals. But we had the greatest defensive shortstop that not only ever did play, but ever will play. You can't be better than Ozzie Smith. And it was fun to be with him on Friday night. But, man, it's fun to go back and look at what he did, because it was what he did as a player was ridiculous.
It really is. And he's so kind and friendly. You know, sometimes you say, what is it about you so you don't want to meet your idols or something like that? But he is so kind. And there were so many times when I first got here that I could go up and ask him a question when he was around, and he would take the time to break things down for me. I don't know many people who would do that. And just the fact that he was willing to do that, he has such a love and passion for the game and for sports in general, because he's done so much for our community when it comes to golf, getting the PGA Championship here and campaigning for other big events like that to come here to St. Louis. He is a true champion of St. Louis.
And he plays golf on a regular basis with former football Cardinal Willard Harrell. And evidently at some times they are competitive matches. I
would love to watch that.
Yeah, if you're an Aussie fan. If you're rooting for Willard to win, I don't know. I love Willard. He's great.
Willard is awesome.
And it's great to have him here in town. All right, that's what we loved about the weekend here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, 4 downs from this weekend in the NFL on 101 ESPN. I want you to head to the Fenton Bar and Grill and try one of their amazing weekly specials. Today's great lunch special is their pork loin with mashed potatoes and brown gravy and salad, or their vegetable of the day, and it's just $14.95, and it's absolutely delicious. You will so enjoy the Fenton Bar and Grill, not only for the food, but because of the ambiance, the way that the people treat you, whether it's Kelly or Alicia or Colleen or Megan or Ashley. The whole group is a lot of fun. They love to serve you, and everybody at the Fenton Bar and Grill loves sports. And obviously, if you're listening to this show, you're a sports fan, so you'll enjoy the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton. Stop by and say hi to Chuck. He's the manager there, and he'll treat you well also. And another cool thing about the Fenton Bar and Grill is they have an amazing happy hour, especially if you've got games. For example, you've got Monday Night Football tonight. You can watch the games and enjoy their happy hour beforehand, and you'll just have a great time. They have fantastic food. They have fish every Friday. It's open year-round. A fantastic patio for right now with the great weather in St. Louis. It's the Fenton Bar and Grill. Tell them Randy sent you. Learn more at FentonBarandGrill.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues over the weekend get 2 wins over the Devils on Friday, 4-1, and then over the Canadiens, 6-3. And they are back in action tomorrow, facing off against the Winnipeg Jets. That'll be a 7 p.m. puck drop. It means you can catch the pregame show right here on 101 ESPN, starting at 6 p.m. Over the weekend, Missouri falls to number 2 Georgia, 30-21. There were some other big wins, though, including number 15 Notre Dame falling to Clemson. Tyler from Spartanburg with a big victory there. Also coming up today, all 3 of your local college basketball teams kicking off their season, or tipping off their season, I should say. Eastern Illinois at number 25 Illinois, Arkansas Pine Bluff at Missouri, and Southern Indiana at St. Louis at the Chaffetz Center. All of those games tipping off at 7 p.m. tonight. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your Rosen Shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
All right, 4 downs from the National Football League.
First down.
All right, CD, what do you got?
So I was looking and paying attention to what's going on in the NFL, right? And one of my friends had tweeted this the other day, well, yesterday actually, watching. He's a Bengals fan. I'm obviously a Steelers fan, but he said the rest of the AFC might need to win their division because you might get all 4 AFC North teams in the playoffs, and that would be. I know it probably won't happen, but you're more than likely going to get 3 of them, and so. If you got 3, that means you only got 4 other spots. Those other AFC teams are going to be scrapping, trying to find a way to get into the playoffs. The AFC North is the best division in football right now, and they are playing at a high level. The Baltimore Ravens might be the best team in the league. The Pittsburgh Steelers somehow find a way to be 5-3. Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals are on the rise, and they are a team that no one wants to face right now, and they're last in the division. So this is going to be a division that is going to be you're going to want to keep an eye on. And if you have any aspirations, if you are the Los Angeles Chargers, or if you are the Buffalo Bills, if you are the Houston Texans, you need to win the division, because if not, you're probably not going to make the playoffs.
In the AFC North, who do you think is better? And I know that you look at the record, as you mentioned there, Ravens 7-2 and Bengals are 5-3. But who do you think is better? Because as you mentioned, the Bengals are on the rise and they look like a really good team.
I think it's who's at home. I really do.
I think, honestly, even though the Baltimore Ravens record is better, they haven't faced each other yet this year, I don't believe. The Ravens, they lost. They did. They played week 2 and the Bengals lost. But that was Joe Burrow still injured. They lost by 3 points at home. I think that the Bengals are the better team, because a healthy Joe Burrow, along with all of those guys that they have around him. Now, that's tough to say, because the Ravens are playing at a high level. I think Joe Burrow is a better quarterback. I think the Ravens are the better team. How about that?
Okay. Yeah. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Second down.
We touched on this a little bit earlier, but how about Josh freaking Dobbs, guys?
Man.
He deserves all of the credit in the world. I don't know if these teams necessarily, I'm talking about the Cardinals and Vikings, were looking for wins or a quarterback that could lead them to victory, but that's what you're getting with Josh Dobbs. I mean, he was the superhero for the Vikings on Sunday, and he wore all the capes, completing a comeback on that final drive, that touchdown there at the end, and he finished 20 of 30, passing for 158 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also had 66 yards on the ground on 7 carries. Josh Dobbs, the way that he was able to really absorb that game plan on a whim is very, very impressive, because he wasn't meant to be in this situation.
No.
CD, as you broke down earlier, of course, we know what happened with Kirk Cousins, and then you had the injury with Allen, right? There was Allen as the backup quarterback, or Jaron Hall, excuse me. Jaron Hall, the backup quarterback, he was injured and just 6 throws and exited with a concussion. But the way that Josh Dobbs was able to absorb all that on a whim and just take control of that game, he deserves to be a starter elsewhere. And I thought this was interesting too. Kevin O'Connell was essentially translating calls and mapping out the plays mid-huddle as the play clock was ticking down, and he called Dobbs' ability to handle all of that one of the most impressive things that he has seen in his entire career.
I don't think you would have to, it's like learning a complete different language, the terminology that one team has in comparison to another team. If you don't even know the snap count or the cadence, those change as well. The audibles change. All of that changes from team to team. To be able to go into a game, an NFL game, and not know any of that, and the head coach who is speaking in your ear is processing, giving you that information, and you're able to process it that fast, that is a genius. That is someone that is extremely intelligent and is able to take on pretty much anything, because learning an offense is one of the hardest things you will do in the NFL, and to be able to do it real time in a game and win that game, that's amazing.
So quick question for you guys, because we're saying he deserves to be a starter. Is he going to be the Vikings' answer moving forward?
Yes. Jared Hall has a concussion.
This year? You're saying this year?
Oh, moving forward this year, yeah.
Next year?
No.
Yeah.
They're going to re-sign Cousins. They're going to bring Cousins back. They're talking about that in that building.
I believe they will.
Yeah.
Third down.
Well, guys, we're missing out on something in the NFL because of preconceived notions. And granted, yes, it's the team that Joshua Dobbs left. The Arizona Cardinals had 58 yards yesterday. 58 yards against the Cleveland Browns. The Browns had another game where they held a team to 98 yards this year. They're far and away the best defense in the league. And for the era, the Browns this year are comparable to the 2000 Ravens or the 85 Bears. What they're doing is incredible. There might not be a better non-quarterback first pick in the draft in the last, since the merger, than Myles Garrett. He is an absolute stud. He should be the defensive player of the year in the NFL. But look at what Arizona was able to accomplish yesterday. Granted, they aren't very good. 1 of 12 on third down. 48 plays is all they ran. They had 14 total drives, averaging 1.2 yards per play. This is an NFL offense, granted. Again, it's not a great NFL offense, but if you can hold a group of NFL players, 11 NFL players on offense, to 58 yards, you have done something really special. And the Browns are doing it on a regular basis this year. We're missing out on it because of what we think of Cleveland.
Cleveland had their first shutout this was their first shutout since 2007. That is a long time. A lot of football games have been played since they shut a team out. The Arizona Cardinals aren't trying to win. You knew that when they let Joshua Dobbs leave. That was their only chance. There was no chance that they were going to bring Kyler Murray back, and I don't think they're going to let him play. If they do, it'll be to the point where they're almost guaranteed the number one pick, regardless of whether he wins or loses. This team is not a team that's trying to win, and Joshua Dobbs clearly gave them a chance to win every single weekend. Clayton Tune does not. And so
right.
you got a team that's not trying to win. That's got to be frustrating for the guys that are on that roster that want to play every single Sunday and want to play well.
And by the way, a team that was trying, Tennessee was the other team that had less than 100 yards against Cleveland. They had 98. The Ravens are really good defense, and they're allowing 262.6 yards a game. The Browns are in first place, averaging 234.8 against them. Points-wise, Browns are allowing 17.4 points a game.
And the impressive thing about that is they don't have an offense that is potent in the way that other teams. When you have a defense like that, normally you have an offense that is scoring a lot of points or putting up a lot of points, doing things. They're playing really well defensively, and it's a shame that they still got to figure some things out. Offense. Deshaun Watson played better yesterday, but he still got to play a lot better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Fourth down.
All right, and we can see the impact of a coaching change, right? Because all you need to do is look at the Las Vegas Raiders, and they come away with a victory after, by the way, a meeting that among players that caused Josh McDaniels to get fired.
That was you normally have player meetings, right, where you air out your grievances. I've never heard of or been a part of a meeting where the players are airing out their grievances to the head coach, to the point where they're saying, this is what you're doing and this is what you're causing, to the point where when they got to practice the next day, they said he was a completely different person.
Broken.
It was like he was a shell of himself. Like he had been talked to in a manner in which they let him have it and let him know exactly who he was and exactly what he was doing and how he was impacting that team. and he was a shell of himself at the next practice, almost like he wasn't there.
Right.
No.
And at the meeting, he asked Antonio Pierce to defend him, and Pierce got up and talked about how the Giants prepared to beat McDaniel's Patriots in the Super Bowl in the 2 upsets.
Yeah, and he said, and then McDaniel said something along the lines of like, "Why did you say that?" or something like. It caused even more tension. I was telling you guys last week about that meeting, and now that these reports are coming out about it of what actually was going on in that meeting, it's like, oh, he was done.
Yeah.
Those
Done
players
as
wanted
dinner.
him out of there.
Yeah. Can I give you a Colorado fifth down?
Yes.
Yesterday, they do a TV post-game show for Patriots games, as you might
here.
imagine.
I don't want to do it here.
Yeah.
Fifth down, but go ahead.
Yeah.
You got it.
Well, we have fifth down?
No, I'm saying fifth down is
do it. Yeah, it's
not
a Missouri
fun to
thing.
Mizzou. No.
Yeah. Yesterday, three respected media members in Boston are debating whether or not the Patriots should get rid of Belichick now or give him the respect to finish out the season. They're 2-7, and that was the discussion on the show.
Wow.
You got to let him finish the season out.
I would say so. He's earned that.
Yeah, he's
and
earned
coaching
that.
change isn't going to turn anything
Did they have
around
Boston
there.
accents too while they were doing it? Get him out of here.
Yeah. So, but actually, Tom Curran of NBC Boston was rational and said, "Yeah, you can't get rid of him now." But
Let him finish it out.
But isn't that unbelievable that they're even having that
That's
discussion?
so Boston,
Randy,
though. That's
people
so
hate
Boston.
losing. I don't know. Like people, I know, Illinois fans, we're accustomed to it. Mizzou fans, to a degree, they're accustomed to it. But really, other places, people hate losing. Like, it's not okay.
Yeah.
Losing is not acceptable. But when you do it so much, you kind of get familiar and comfortable.
Yeah. And by the
And
way,
the misery and the pain.
You just deal with it.
he is under contract through 2024. And another thing they brought up was the possibility of the Patriots trading him.
Who's going to trade for Bill Belichick?
Washington.
Oh, yeah. I did hear that. Yeah, that would be nice for him.
So, anyway, that's fifth down. That's four downs. You're on 101 ESPN. Coming up, get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. Take it or leave it next on 101 ESPN.
Hey, it's Kerry for Window Nation. The temperatures are dropping rapidly. It's turning bone-chillingly cold outside, and energy costs are on the rise. If you have old, drafty windows, your furnace is working harder than ever to keep your family warm. Why pay unnecessarily high energy bills when Window Nation can help keep you and your family warm all season long? Window Nation's energy-efficient windows are specifically designed for climate changes and will help keep the cold air out while lowering your monthly energy costs by up to 30%. Speaking of savings, this month only, Window Nation is offering 0% interest for 5 years. That's 60 months interest-free, and you get 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. Now is the time to protect your family from the elements, lower your energy costs, and upgrade the look and feel of your home. Call Window Nation today. Get 0% interest for 5 years, plus 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. Offer only good this month. Call the company over 200,000 families trust with their home. Call Window Nation at 866-90Nation or go online at windownation.com. That's 866-90Nation or go online at windownation.com.
Time for Take It or Leave It.
Want to say something? Want to put it out there? If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your Take It or Leave It.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
The Air Comfort Service text line is open for you. 314-399-9646. 314-399-YO-HO. All right, kids, take it or leave it. St. Louis City SC makes the playoffs next year.
I'll take it.
I'm going to take it.
Okay.
Why?
Why are you
I feel like that there's
Well,
something...
they've got the lowest payroll in the league, right? Second lowest. They had a magical first season, but now teams are going to spend this short off season watching tape. How do we defend St. Louis City SC? I really don't know how good they'll be next year. I hope that they'll be a playoff team and be great, but I just don't know.
Bait?
I don't know. I think that's okay. I agree. I'll take it.
Okay.
So we've been talking a lot about Joshua Dobbs this morning and his performance on the weekend. Joshua Dobbs has played for 7 teams in his, 7-year career? Mm-hmm. He's played for the Steelers. He's been on the roster. He hasn't played games for all these guys, but the Steelers, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Browns, the Lions, the Titans, the Arizona Cardinals, and now the Minnesota Vikings. So I think that's 7 teams, right? Mm-hmm. Take it or leave it. He could be starting for 5 of those teams right now.
Oh.
At least.
I'm going to take it.
Only 2 that he wouldn't be starting for would be Jacksonville and Detroit, in my opinion. But he could be starting for Pittsburgh right now.
Yep.
Yes.
He could be starting for Cleveland right now.
Yep.
He could be starting for Tennessee right now, still. He was starting for the Cardinals, and they said, you got to get out of here, foul.
Yeah.
We don't want to win games. And he's starting right now for the Minnesota Vikings.
I honestly...
That's amazing.
No, it is. I honestly wish that he would have stayed in Tennessee because there was a chance they could have moved Ryan Tannehill before the season started. One, saves you some money, and you could have kept Josh Dobbs while still developing Will Levis and Malik Willis behind him.
I just find it intriguing that this young man his career is going in this pattern, and he just, professional as they come, shows up, works his butt off, and finds a way to keep his team, in games, or as he did yesterday, win a game.
2 things. Number one, it shows you how stupidly impatient NFL teams are. And it also shows that if a guy is in the right place at the right time, it can make all the difference in the world. When you get drafted number 1 overall, generally, you're going to a really bad team. And it's going to be a bad situation for you. And usually they have bad coaches and bad ownership.
Yep.
And sometimes you just need to get lucky like Patrick Mahomes did or Lamar Jackson did, where you have a coach creative enough to utilize your talents properly. And it's you could wind up like Mitchell Trubisky, talented guy,
right?
But wrong place, wrong time. Bradford, right? Wrong place, wrong time. It's just such a game of being in the right place at the right time. Look at Roethlisberger. I mean, Big Ben. When the night of that draft, that was the 2004 draft, right? I was talking to Mike Martz, who was the head coach of the Rams at the time, outside the Rams facility, and he was just asking, "Hey, what's going on in the draft?" I said, "It looks like the Raiders are going to take Robert Gallery." And he said, "You know what? I got to go in and call Norv and tell him he's got to take this Roethlisberger kid." And they had already set on Gallery. Can you imagine if Big Ben winds up in Oakland?
Right.
What a disaster that winds up being.
Yeah.
So right place, right time.
Exactly. So, guys, Yoshi Yamamoto officially hitting the market here. Very exciting times. As you guys saw, too, his last outing in Japan was a pretty big one.
138 pitches, bro.
Yes. Through a complete game, 138 pitches, 14 strikeouts. Take it or leave it, guys. Yamamoto, and I know that the Cardinals have been reportedly in or will be in on the bidding war for him. They will be in the conversation, but will not land Yamamoto. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it.
I'm going to leave it that they'll even be in the conversation.
They're already in the. They already sent their
138 pitches,
conciliere over there.
Conciliere.
Yeah.
Why would the Cardinals want a person to pitch 138 pitches, Randy?
Well, that doesn't really fit their MO, does it?
No. It doesn't fit their MO.
Or their OM.
It's not who they are.
No.
It's not.
Here's the thing, though. If Yachty's in that dugout, does he say, "Papi, let him go"?
How many pitches? How much money does Yamamoto cost?
A couple $100 million.
200?
Yeah.
Yeah, 200. 25 years old.
Huh? Friends with Lars.
Yes.
That gives us an inside track.
I tell you what,
hometown
when it happens,
loves the zoo.
When it happens, you all let me know. Until then, I won't concern myself with things that I don't believe are going to happen. Make believe, Randy, is what we like to call it. In my younger days.
Yoshi Yamamoto? Is that it? Yeah. Yoshi and Yachty?
Yeah.
Oh, I already see the revenue, the marketing ability. So you get your money back.
Yeah. Probably tenfold, bro.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
If you win a championship, it really helps.
Yep.
And the Japan fans will come to see Yoshi.
Oh, they will.
Oh,
yeah.
And Lars, too.
I mean,
and they also like Nolan. Because Nolan went over there with Lars.
Point. I'm all for it.
Matthew, what do we have on the text line?
Take it or leave it. London needs to play more games for City next season to keep Berkey fresh.
Take it.
I'm taking it all day. Berkey said he was tired.
Yeah.
That was like one of the first things he said. He was like, I'm tired.
Just like Joe Murphy.
So it's a rough schedule.
It is. Rugged. Brutal.
There you go. I like that.
CD.
Hey, Carrie, what you got? Hey, Carrie, everyone can see your face. You can't hide the fact that he was like, CD feels nothing about this comment.
I forgot our cameras were back up and running.
Say with your chest.
I just, hey, man, I don't care how tired anyone is when the playoffs hit. Everyone's tired. We got a job to do. I'm not saying that it's not true.
I know what you're saying. You're giving me the old Bill Parcells, right? Don't tell me about the labor. Just show me the baby.
Yes, that's it. That's all we worry about. The end result.
Here we go. Take it or leave it. Illinois should elevate John Paddock to QB1 and then take the Big Ten West along with the Big Ten championship.
Oh, yeah.
Hello?
I. Sure.
Okay. Got it.
Trying to get a little bit in there for
Man, listen. I'm happy we won.
Okay.
This is awesome. Awesome to get a W. But, Illinois is, we got work to do, man.
Take it or leave it. The Steelers go undefeated in the AFC North the rest of the year.
Leave it.
Ooh, I'm going to leave that, too.
Yeah.
They beat the Ravens. Did they lose to the Browns? And did they already lose to the Browns?
I don't remember.
Let's see.
They played them?
They beat the Ravens on a last-minute touchdown. They beat the Browns.
Okay.
Which is intriguing.
They have the Browns. They have the Browns at the Browns, at the Bengals, and then they have a couple weeks off in AFC North games, and then they close out with hosting the Bengals and at the Ravens 2 of the last 3 weeks of the season.
I believe that.
They'll beat the Browns in their next contest.
Both Bengals, though.
But then they'll probably split. That depends.
Who plays quarterback for Pittsburgh?
Kenny Pickett.
Who plays quarterback for Cincinnati?
Joey B.
That might be a sweep.
Might not be a split. You might be right.
But you were talking about Najee Harris last week. Remember when you were asking us about the running backs?
You got to keep him on the ground.
They can go 4-2 in the division.
CJ Stroud has more touchdown passes than Kenny Pickett in his career.
No. Yikes.
Wow.
That's a
he might have
stat.
had more in his last game than Kenny Pickett does this season.
Take it or leave it. That was one of the roughest days of Sunday NFL football you've ever seen.
Oh, take it. It was some bad matchups. That wasn't, I mean, that damn Rams Packers game.
Kind of boring.
It's just.
It wasn't exactly Aaron Rodgers
Wait when
versus
it's
Matthew
over.
Stafford.
No.
It was not. It was some bad games this weekend.
What did you guys think of the Germany game, Chiefs and Dolphins?
I hated it that it was that early.
I didn't
We
mind it.
brunch it. We brunched it.
Did you?
Yeah.
I like to sleep.
I only watched the first half and then we went for a bike ride.
You had enough.
Yeah, I had enough. Yeah, I thought it'd be 42-0.
The Browns and
I had college basketball
and
to
the
watch.
Cardinals were. It's just there. The Commanders and Patriots. The Bears and the Aints. Sorry, Saints.
Yeah,
It's just
Not
there.
great. Not great. Yeah, the Bears, man, watching the Bears game must be brutal. So they traded up to get Trubisky, traded up to get Fields, and now they've got an undrafted Division II guy starting at quarterback.
That's amazing how life works. I love it.
Or is it Division
Absolutely
III?
love it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
I
it's
love
D2.
it.
One more?
Every time somebody tells me the people working for sports teams know what they're doing, I like to bring up examples.
You can't predict any
That's all
of
I'm saying.
this.
No,
There's no way they thought that was happening.
I know. Take it or leave it. Every time Randy brings up the free zoo, you get a little bit more hope for the Cardinals offseason.
Totally take it. Yeah.
Take it.
Yep.
Has it worked yet?
We know Nola loves it.
Has it worked yet?
Why did Matt Holliday resign
Thank
here?
you.
It had nothing
Thank
to do with
you.
120 million. He had
Thank
little
you.
kids.
You sure?
Yep.
He had
Why did Albert Pujols come back?
Yep. Ask Keith Kachuk why he stayed. Why he came back to the Blues. They trade him to Atlanta, and he comes back. Why? Free zoo, best zoo in the country, and it's free.
I mean, I don't want to be that guy, Randy.
Okay, Izzy. I know Izzy's listening.
I don't want to be that guy.
Is he?
I do think if you got $120 million, you might be able to take your family to the zoo, even if it isn't free.
No, you
But
can be a member. And then you
Millionaires like free things.
No,
CD.
everybody
That's-
does.
And it's great.
Yes.
My friend Aaron Moorhead, his father is Emery.
Mm-hmm.
He played for the Chicago Bears. His saying is, if it ain't free, you pay too much.
Randy, when did Jason Isringhausen come here?
2001, I believe.
Pretty sure that's right when the zoo opened the petting zoo in the little kids area.
Right.
Wow.
It had nothing to do with
the
his
family.
Yeah. It had nothing to do with his family being here, or the 28 million, or being from Brighton, Illinois, and growing up a Cardinal fan and having it be his dream situation. It was all about the free
Going
zoo.
to that zoo free.
Yeah.
How many times do you think families go to that zoo?
At least
in
once
the
or twice a
summertime
year.
While
Once or twice a year. Well, it's hot.
while they're playing.
Yeah, it's,
Well,
Oh, it's
playing
fun.
baseball?
When you go walk over to Forest Park, I would do that all the time during the summertime, and I'd be like, I'm just gonna go into the zoo because it's free.
thank you.
It's
Brooke.
easy to do, and then
Hey, you all are correct. I am wrong here.
look,
Free zoo it is.
Aaron Nola, when he signs, it's gonna be because of the free zoo. Remember we
told him
brought it
about
up?
it,
We
too.
did. Yeah, he already knew about it.
He's thrilled.
Okay,
Imagine
the
his
top
picture now.
Top
He's-
10. Holy cow! top 10 Japan zoo tickets. And they got experience award-winning spa treatments in downtown Tokyo. This zoo costs $301.29.
For a day?
Yep.
Are you sure you're not looking at yen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe.
Is it yen?
Is it yen?
What's
Is that
the
even more or
conversion?
less?
I think it's just. I think it's less.
Oh, here's one. The
yes.
Yokohama Zoo is only
It changes.
$667, but that's not free.
You're telling me a zoo costs that much?
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Well, San Diego Zoo is like $85.
Is it yen? Is it yen or is it dollars?
San Diego's is like $85. It is, but it is extremely
Wait,
nice.
it's $85.
I've taken myself and my children. It costs. It does cost.
How much
It's
does it cost
almost
for
like
children?
going. It's almost like going to Disney World.
Yeah.
You know, Disney World like $80 a pop.
What do you get
100
in
something.
there?
You get to look at the animals.
Yeah, the difference is
Is
at
there
Disney World, you can
different
put your
animals?
kid on the animal's shoulders and then take a
no,
picture
those
with
are
him.
the same animals.
But you're paying $85
and you're
for
riding
the
a tram.
same?
You're riding a tram through the zoo. You're not walking through it. You're not getting right up next to the animals.
I don't like that.
That's why nobody wants to go to San Diego and
In
everyone wants to come to
Nashville,
St. Louis.
It's
I would have to disagree there. Have you been? What's the temperature in San Diego right now
That's a
as
great
we
question.
speak?
72.
God, that would be a killer
Kerry,
closer for
it's
a
warm
stand-up
this
special.
week.
Listen, this week is the key word.
It's
Is
like
the key
San
phrase.
Diego here.
This week. because last week it was like 30 degrees on Tuesday.
Antarctica.
Yeah, it was like 25 degrees last Tuesday.
It's 57 in San Diego right now.
What's the
high of 71 today, high of 70 tomorrow, high of 69.
What's the low? What's the low of the
56, 58,
yeah, that's
55,
that's
50,
what we want to look at.
48,
Ooh.
48 on Friday.
That's freezing. That's freezing in San Diego. They got coats on, coats and hats.
Hey,
and
thanks
gloves.
very much for your text. Coming up, we've got a quick fresh take. What aspect of the resurgent Blues jumped out to you the most this weekend? That's next time, 101 ESPN.
Perspective on the day's top stories. It's the Opening Drive's Fresh Take.
Now is Sod in front. Back door to Kyrou. He scores! Jordan Kyrou will get it back in. Thomas to the middle. On his forehand. Score! Robert Thomas. Goals in 3 straight games.
Everyone is trying to get this captain on the board. Look out, here it is.
He shoots. He scores! Just like that, Joe. Braden Shen
Yeah, I think, again, it's confidence with a lot of them guys that are scorers and skilled guys. I mean, you get a couple goals, a few points, you start to feel it, and, you make more plays.
That's the Chief, Craig Berube, after the Blues won their second consecutive game on Saturday night over Montreal, 6-3. Back-to-back nights with games, back-to-back nights with wins. And the Blues scored 10 in the two games. And to me, that, guys, is what stands out for the Blues. They have not been a goal-scoring team this year. To break out with 10 in two games is a dramatic departure and hopefully something that becomes more of a regular occurrence.
There's a simple text from the 636, and I think it really, puts it into perspective as to how the Blues were able to have such success over the weekend. It's a simple breakdown, but can be a little bit nuanced. Just a tad bit. They shot the puck. Mm-hmm. That's what the text says. They shot the puck. They shot the puck, and the puck actually went in. It's a simple thing, but sometimes it can be a tough task to figure out. You shoot the puck, you score. They shot the puck. They had more shots on goal both of those games, which is something that they haven't done except for one time this season. And so they were able to shoot more. They got more shots to go in, and they won the games. And that's essentially what it has become. If they can be a good team. They've had opportunities, and I felt like that they were trying to be too perfect at times, making an extra pass when it wasn't needed. You're right in front of the net. Hey, brother, shoot the puck. Let's see if you miss it, maybe there's a rebound and somebody else comes in and taps it in. But shooting the puck helps.
35 shots on goal in each game.
That helps. It helps. The more you shoot, the more chances you have to score.
And that's the thing is it was good forecheck, as you mentioned there, taking the shot instead of just the extra pass. Yes. That was so frustrating to watch in just these games early on this season. And skating hard. I feel like this is the way that Berube wants them to play when they're executing this new system. And it's the way that they should be playing with the guys that they have. And Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou, those are the types of games that you want to see from them. I've been impressed with Jordan Kyrou and his abilities this season. I know that he's working on being more of a two-way player, and I think that you were finally seeing it pay off on the offensive side in that game against the Canadiens this past weekend. And with Robert Thomas, I'm excited that he's shooting the puck more.
Yeah, he has a good shot. He needs to take advantage of it, and I'm sure that that's something that they tell him all the time. By the way, 15 goals for the Blues in their first 8 games and then 10 in the last 2. The other thing that was good to see, obviously, especially on Friday night, was New Jersey, which is a good team. Hughes got hurt early in that game, in the first period of that game, and he's their bell cow offensively. But to only allow one goal and hold them down like the Blues did and allow the type of shots that they allowed really worked out in the Blues' favor, because the system wants to keep the puck out of the middle of the ice, and the Blues were able to do that in allowing 33 shots. Not many of them were from the middle, and so you get plenty of opportunity to see what's going on if you're the goalie like Binnington was. And he played well, taking nothing away from him, but at least they made it a little bit easier for him.
I think that's important. I mean, just this defense has been pretty good this year. The change of philosophies, which is going to allow more shots on goal, but not the high danger shots that they have faced in the past years. That's a good thing. But offensively, for whatever reason, I don't know if they were too exhausted from the defensive, from the shifts and how long they were in the D zone, and not able to make a push once they got on the other end. This weekend was a good weekend for Blues hockey because it showed you what Berube said a couple of days ago when they lost that game. Like, yeah, we lost, but we weren't that bad. We were in Colorado. It wasn't as bad as the score may have seen. And you kind of look at it like, maybe not. But he understood that this team was in a place to start doing things the right way and in a much better way than they had in the past.
The amazing thing that is unbelievable to me, that an NHL team can go 10 games and have 1 power play goal. And that's exactly what the Blues have done.
That's exhausting. Mm-hmm. That's I don't know how that's possible, because you literally have an advantage and you've only scored 1 time. So that's something that obviously needs to be corrected, but I don't know how or when or where that gets corrected.
Well, they didn't have a single power play against the Canadiens, so I guess you don't have to include it in the conversation, but it's something that definitely has to be addressed here soon, because that is supposed to be a huge advantage and momentum starter for your team. And special teams, obviously, is very important. The penalty kill has looked pretty good for the Blues. You just have to figure it out on the power play. And I don't know if that concludes some more mixing and matching for them moving forward. But luckily, we didn't have to discuss it with the Canadians because they didn't even get that chance, that opportunity to do so. Do you think that splitting up Robert Thomas, just to switch gears, splitting up Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou was key for what we've seen in these first 2 games? Because I actually really like Jordan Kyrou with Braden Shen. I feel like that's a line that has worked out.
I do too. And Shen is probably the conscience of the Blues on both ends of the ice. And I think he kind of drags people into the fight in terms of playing both ends of the ice. Not that Kyrou hasn't, because Kyrou's been really good, relatively speaking, defensively this year. But it just seems like Braden Shen, with his veteran presence, causes Kyrou to do more things. I think Kyrou, when he's with Robert, tries to be too pretty. And I don't think you need to be pretty.
You need to be gritty.
Gritty rather than pretty.
That's a good one.
Yeah. 3.7% on the power play for the Blues. Kids, they're 1 for 27. The second to last team, Washington, is at 9.68%. And let's just take a quick look here at the team the Blues will play tomorrow, the Winnipeg Jets. Busy time for the Jets. They play on Monday Night Football tonight and then Blues tomorrow.
those are different Jets.
Oh, never mind. Winnipeg is 23rd in the league at 14.3% on.
Why is it so bad?
I don't know.
Like, how is that even possible?
I can't figure it out. I don't know.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
3.7?
3.7,
One goal in 27 opportunities?
1 for 27, yes.
It's not great.
No. And I don't know what you do about that moving forward.
You just
got to figure out something, though. They will. Coming up next, we're going to talk more Blues hockey. Our buddy Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues here on 101 ESPN, will join us on the opening drive on 101 ESPN.
Kerbside with the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber. Brought to you by Scott Lee Heating Company, a proud Mitsubishi Electric Elite contractor.
Randy, and we go to the celebrity line, and our friend, the voice of the Blues, here on 101 ESPN, Chris Kerber joins us. Kerbs, good morning. How you doing?
Andy, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. If we seem distracted, it's because one of us in the room just pulled down the blinds for the window here in the studio. And
so, that's not that's against the rules.
I think it should be. Unless I did it.
Listen, this is a true story, and it's led to one of the greatest friendships of my life. To be honest to God, I'm in college. It's my freshman year at Miami of Ohio, and I'm in calculus 2, I think it was, right? And I'm bored, so I'm looking out the window for the first few weeks of this class. And I'm watching this squirrel over a few weeks build a nest. And I don't know if you know this, but like ADHD, dyslexia, and all that stuff's part of my issues, right? Okay, so I'm thoroughly enjoying my own Mutual of Omaha Wild Kingdom during this class. And this girl gets up, and the sun was coming in. So without asking anybody, she pulls the shade. Right? Oh, no. And I go, hey, what are you doing? Like, not a great way to make an impression, I got to be honest with you. But I said, hey, what are you doing? And she goes, well, the sun's coming in. I go, I'm watching a squirrel. Right? Well, she was a lot smarter than me. Eventually, we started studying math together. She helped me get good grades, and she's been one of my best friends in the world ever since. So you never know. Good things can come of this, but pulling a shade without permission of the group is just against the rules.
Sorry about that.
Thanks. It's very bright in here now, Kurt.
It is very bright in here and dusty, and very dusty.
Isn't it life more fun when the Blues win 2 in a row?
Oh, yeah, well, you know what? It's that old Nuke Lelouch. I like winning, like it's better than losing.
Yeah.
It is. And here's the thing with these last 2 games is I think over the course of this season, Randy, fans are going to have to understand the opponent more than anything, right? The Devils and the Montreal Canadiens had good starts to the season. They're young, speedy teams, right? But they're not bigger, heavier teams to go with some of that speed, right? They're not Colorado. They're not Vegas, okay? And they're trying to get to the level of those 2 teams. Where the Blues are in this transition, they're going to have better matchups over the course of the year, even against some better teams like the ones we just played over the weekend. But the key is, if you look at the first 10 games and really, the first 8, there were offensive scoring opportunities. Shots were missing the net. They were putting it in the heart of the chest of the goalie. They weren't capitalizing on some of them. In the last 2 games, they capitalized on more of them, and there's the difference of being able to play with a lead. But you got to love this stat. It's been 10 games that the Blues have played. There has not been a lead change yet.
Wow, that's amazing.
In a game. Now the only caveat is they scored first. I think it was in Dallas, right? And then and then ended up winning the shootout, right? So Dallas scored first, and the Blues ended up winning the shootout. But in terms of the 60 minutes regulation and overtime, there hasn't been a lead change in any one of the games so far.
Kerbs, earlier we were talking about how great of a game it was for Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou, but specifically for Jordan Kyrou in that Canadiens game, we know that he's making a point this season to play both ends of the ice, but it really hasn't paid off that much for him on the offensive side much until this weekend. What have you seen from his progression?
Well, and what's been said throughout that whole process is he's doing the things you need to do to be successful. And when you do that, the offense will eventually come. Braden Shen, I think, fits highly in that category so far this season. You can go back to prior 3 games before this weekend. Braden Shen may have been your best forward and wasn't getting the point. So I think Jordan Kyrou has had a terrific start to the season. His first 10 games are good. It's not going to surprise, and it doesn't mean that this will happen this way, but if Robert Thomas's and Jordan Kyrou's numbers are down for a little bit to begin this year, maybe even say the first half of the year, they're getting those tough matchups now. You're not getting anybody holding back because Ryan O'Reilly's out there, because Tarasenko's out there. These guys are getting the best of the best now, and there's an adjustment that goes with that. I think Jordan Kyrou has had a very good start to this season, and I hope it continues. There was a couple plays over the weekend where he was wheeling around with the puck, and his speed was so evident over these last two games that you're looking at it, and guys are like, this is just his third full season in the National Hockey League, 5th season overall, but it's just a third full season where you've had a normal off season. There's no COVID. There's been nothing goofy about this the last 3 years for him, and the progression, I think, is going pretty well. They potentially, with Jordan Kyrou, when his confidence grows and he continues to wheel the puck like he can, they've got a real stud on their hands here, and I'm excited to watch how the rest of the season goes with him.
Kerbs, I was watching that Canadiens game, and I thought that fourth line with Blaze, Sundqvist, and Neighbors really had a lot of energy, played extremely well. Can you talk about how important it is for that fourth line to play at the level that they did, especially for this team?
Well, and the noticeable part, Kerry, when you see that is you will see that line sometimes play in a third-line role, or you'll see that line getting 12 to 15 minutes a game. And if you look at the line of those guys and you're seeing that type of ice time, that means that there's effectiveness. That means the Blues have been able to roll 4 lines. And if the Blues continue to stay as disciplined as they have, Craig Berube's able to roll 4 lines a lot more. Plus, you get somebody like Sundqvist, and if it's Toropchenko sometimes on that grouping, those guys are going to get some minutes, Neighbors on the penalty kill, that are going to add to some of that ice time. But they're big, they can hit, they can be physical, and that line really has one job. Get the puck in the offensive zone, throw the body around a little bit, and try to leave the next line in a good spot when they come on the ice and not chase the puck too much. And I thought they had a really solid 2 games over the weekend as well.
Kerbs, Jordan Binnington among starting goalies is in the top 10 in save percentage at .924. He's obviously not seeing as many high danger chances as he saw last year, but your overall impressions of the first 10 games of this Blues season for Jordan Binnington?
Fantastic. He's doing exactly what the team needs him to do. You saw in the 2 games that got away from the Blues this year, you saw the remnants of last season where those grade A scoring chances are there, and even then he made some of those saves. When you give Jordan Binnington a reasonable chance, I still think he plays like one of the top goalies in the league. And here's another thing. They know what Jordan Binnington is come playoff time. He is a playoff performer. We've seen it. We saw, obviously, with the Cup run. We saw it before Kadri knocked them out of that playoff series in Colorado. They know what they have. It's building the season for him to get there, and this has been a terrific start. He's coming so business-like. He's relaxed. He's mentally like he's in the best place I think maybe he's ever been, to be honest with you, when you talk with him. And the support of the defense in front of him has been good. It's been a very good 10-game start for him.
Kerbs, the Winnipeg Jets in town tomorrow, and hopefully the Blues will be able to get some division success going. If the playoffs started today, for as rugged as things have been, if the playoffs started today and we're only 10 games in, the Blues would be in them. And that's all you can do is maintain that position throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, you know what? They didn't. They're 10 games in. They're 1 month into the season, and they have not put themselves behind an 8 ball yet. And that's where you want to be. When you're a team in transition like the Blues are in, they feel that they can compete. And again, this goes right back to what we started with, didn't it, Randy? Like just understand the competition you're going to be playing against some nights and the different levels and where teams are at. They put themselves in a really good spot. Now, Winnipeg and Arizona, both these teams got the best of the St. Louis Blues already. Here's your second chance at them. Let's see if that progression continues and these games look a little different over the course of this week.
Finally, you mentioned dyslexia, and this happened to me at church. I don't know if it's ever happened to you when you sing, "My dog is an awesome dog, my dog is an awesome dog."
Hey, that one hasn't happened to me, but here's one that has. I was trying when I was doing a game in college to say he took a shot with the stick, and it came out he took the blank with the stock. So
it happened.
That has happened. So you got to be a little careful there, Randy.
No doubt.
You got to just got to be a little careful there in church.
Yes. Hey, have a great day, Kerbs, and we'll see you at the rink later in the week.
Have an awesome week, you three. Thank you.
Thanks, brother. That is Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues here on 101 ESPN. Coming up next, we've got the fight. Do we need a fighter? Mm-hmm. We do need a fighter. Text in 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. You might be the fighter if you can just text in with your name and the word fight here to 101 ESPN.
Blues Hockey is on 101 ESPN, and BK and Ferrario have you covered. Tune in every Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the latest Blues news as BK and Ferrario broadcast live from the E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center. Brought to you by Bud Light for the fans on game day, and by E&B Granite, Bernie Federko's only choice for granite countertops, cabinets, and flooring.
Come experience the true modern West, where 8 seconds of glory will create a lifetime of memories. The Professional Bull Riders PBR St. Louis at Enterprise Center, December 2nd and 3rd. Tickets at PBR.com and Ticketmaster.
For a limited time, First Community is offering a rate of 5% annual percentage yield on a 12-month or an 18-month certificate of deposit. Take your pick. You can open a CD with as little as $500, and there's no limit. Unlike some high-risk investments, CDs are fully insured to keep your savings safe, and the return on your investment is guaranteed. Please visit firstcommunity.com to learn more. Requires a $500 minimum deposit to open. Call 1-800-767-8880 for terms and conditions. Federally insured up to $250,000 by NCUA.
Blues Hockey can be heard exclusively on 101 ESPN. Get the info you need before and after every Blues game with the First Community pre- and post-game show, driven by Clement Ford. And catch every Blues home game from the First Community Terrace.
Bring out the Zamboni!
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Over the weekend, the Blues get back-to-back wins over the Devils and Canadians. They're off today, back in action tomorrow with a 7 p.m. puck drop facing off against the Winnipeg Jets. You can catch the pregame show right here on 101 ESPN starting at 6 p.m. Over the weekend, it was an unfortunate game for St. Louis City again in Game 2 of their best-of-3 matchup against Sporting KC. They fall 2-1, and that means they have been eliminated by the 8th seed in their first-ever playoff round. They will go into next season searching for their first-ever playoff victory. Also over the weekend, Missouri falls to number 2 Georgia 30-21. That is your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Kerber.
Welcome back to the opening drive. I'm Kerry Davis, joined by Brooke Grimsley, and it is time for the fight. And our fighter today is Chuck. Chuck, how you doing?
I'm great, Kerry. How about yourself?
Doing well. Are you ready to take on Randy Kerber?
I am ready to go.
Happy birthday, Chuck, by the way.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, here we go. This weekend, the Chiefs became the first team to win games in 4 different countries. Which AFC franchise has the most total wins outside the country in the NFL's international series? Is it the Chiefs, the Patriots, or the Jaguars?
The Jaguars.
Mizzou fell to 0-18 versus AP number 1 overall teams on Saturday, but who is the last number 1 in any poll that Mizzou defeated? Is it Oklahoma, Texas, or Auburn?
Oklahoma.
This weekend, CeeDee Lamb became just the second Cowboy to ever go over 150 yards receiving in back-to-back games, which Tony Romo-era target was the first to ever do it. Is it Jason Witten, Des Bryant, or Miles Austin?
Des Bryant.
Over the weekend, this NHL squad became the first to allow 10 goals in back-to-back games since the 1965 Bruins. Is it the LA Kings, the San Jose Sharks, or the Edmonton Oilers?
The Kings.
All right, we'll double-check our score, and we will bring in Randy Kerber.
Chuck, how you feel?
I feel much better when I'm listening to the radio. I can tell you that.
Not quite the same as when you're actually doing it, I would assume.
But, hey, I'm glad to be on.
Well, we're glad to have you on. Randy is walking back in. He is prepared to take on you in the fight. And, Randy, say hello to Chuck.
Chuck, good morning. How you doing?
Randy, how about yourself?
Everything's terrific. Thank you very much for listening. Thanks for playing. We appreciate it.
I'm down here in Aspercian, Mississippi, walking, listening to you guys.
Oh, that's awesome.
Very nice.
Good. Are you from St. Louis originally?
I grew up in South Central Illinois.
All right, perfect. Good to have you with us.
Great to have you on. All right, Randy, here we go.
Ready.
This weekend, the Chiefs became the first team to win games in 4 different countries. Which AFC franchise has the most total wins in the NFL's international series?
Since the start, and it's an AFC team, since the start of international play, huh?
Mm-hmm.
4 wins for the Chiefs. The Jaguars use London and they've done that as a home game every year. And they've done it basically since the Rams were here, which is 8. So they've played 500 there, but they've had some bad years. Those 4 by the Chiefs are pretty good. I'm going to go with... I'll go with the 4 from Kansas City.
Mizzou fell to 0-18 versus AP number 1 overall teams on Saturday, but who is the last number 1 in any poll that Mizzou defeated?
Last number 1 in any poll. I believe Oklahoma came in here in 2010 as the number 1 team in the country. And Mizzou beat them. I'm going to go with Oklahoma. I believe I was at that game in Columbia.
This weekend, CeeDee Lamb became just the second Cowboy to ever go for 150 yards receiving in back-to-back games. Which Tony Romo-era target was the first to ever do it?
150 in back-to-back games, huh? Tony Romo era. Logic would dictate that it's Dez Bryant. I am going to go with Dez Bryant.
Over the weekend, this NHL squad became the first to allow 10 goals in back-to-back games since the 1965 Bruins.
Well, I know that San Jose allowed 10 in a 10-1 game. I didn't see what they did over the weekend, but I'll go with the San Jose Sharks. Because they got beat at home 10-1 earlier in the week.
We have a tie in today's fight. A little lower scoring today. I thought that it was an easy one, too, boys. But we'll go to the tiebreaker.
Easier when you look up the answers.
Isn't it, though?
When you're making it rather than answering it.
No, completely fair. I legitimately thought I was going to get text. I was like, wow, that was so easy because you both got like all four right. So let's go to the tiebreaker. Tiebreaker is very simple. I'm going to read out the question. We're going to give Randy a moment to write down his answer. Then Chuck, our challenger today, will tell us his answer audibly over the air, and then who's ever closest to the pin is going to be the winner of today's fight. We, of course, will have Randy say his answer after Chuck does. We can even hold it up to the camera. Chuck, do you understand those rules?
Yes, I do.
All right, Randy, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Do you understand the rules?
I understand the rules.
All right, cool. New/old James Harden teammate Russell Westbrook holds the NBA record for triple-doubles in his career with how many? New/old James Harden teammate Russell Westbrook holds the NBA record for triple-doubles with how many? Triple-doubles in his career. Just a moment.
Hold on, Chuck.
We're going to
let Randy write his down first.
Yeah, let me.
We don't want him. We don't want him to. We don't want you all sharing answers here. This is not that type of party.
Nope.
All right, Randy got his answer down.
All right, Randy has his answer in. Chuck, what is your guess?
I'm going to say 50.
All right. We have a winner.
Rock, if you said I got to do some quick math, I was going to jump over this damn table.
The amount I wanted to say. I have to do some quick math here. I'm really glad I didn't. I felt that would have been bad timing for it. And so, considering there's not a Super Bowl champion beating me to the pulp right now, I feel like I made the right call. But we have a winner in today's fight. We have a winner in the tiebreaker. Ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
Randy, did you go ahead and hold up your pad? You guessed an even 200.
I did.
Chuck guessed 50. The answer, 198 for Mr. Russell Westbrook, who I'm honestly shocked it's that low considering he had 3 straight seasons where he played about 150 games and he averaged a triple-double. So you're thinking maybe a little bit higher. But nonetheless, Randy Carricker just 2 off with 200. So I'm sorry, Chuck. You tied him 2 shots apiece, but then he beat you on the tiebreaker today.
I certainly appreciate having an opportunity to go against Randy.
Well,
Thank you very much.
We hope he started off your birthday in a positive way in the fight today. Let's go through the questions and the answers. This weekend, the Chiefs became the first team to win 4 games in 4 different countries. Which AFC franchise has the most total wins outside the country in the NFL's international series? Randy, one of the countries is the United States. So the Chiefs only have 3 wins in international games. The Jaguars are 6-5 across 11 freaking international games. Apparently the Chiefs, though, are going to make Germany a regular thing, is what their president said over the weekend, which seems like a weird thing when you're not trying to show the NFL that you have no fans. Mizzou fell to 0-18 versus AP, number 1 overall team on Sunday, but it was, of course, Oklahoma who came in 2010, and they were number 1 in the BCS rankings when Mizzou dropped them. This weekend, CeeDee Lamb became just the second Cowboy ever to go for 150 receiving yards in back-to-back games. It was Miles Austin who did it with Tony Romo as his quarterback, getting 150 in back-to-back games. And over the weekend, this NHL squad became the first to allow 10 goals in back-to-back games. You heard us mention the 10-1 shellacking. They got beat 10-2 by the Penguins the very next day. Yikes. The San Jose Sharks, the first team to allow 10 or more goals in back-to-back games since the 1965 Bruins. And then, of course, our tiebreaker, Russell Westbrook, the career NBA record holder for triple-doubles with 198. Thank you again so much, Chuck, for joining us on your birthday in the fight today.
Good job, Chuck.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day. You too, Brooke.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck.
I would love to have just been sitting there as it's unraveling for the second game in a row, giving up to on that bench as a coach. For the second game, watching it unravel right in front of your eyes. When you get to 7, you got to say, okay, guys, come on.
Yeah,
we did this a couple days ago, right? Well, what are we doing here? 10 goals? Oh,
That's bad.
I might have clotheslined somebody on that bench. Hell are you all doing?
Coming up here on 101 ESPN, does a playoff sweep to your rival sour an otherwise incredible season? I don't know why we're talking about the 2015 Cardinals, but we are next on 101 ESPN. I talk to you a lot about Gutter Pros, and they do so much more than just gutters. They've done siding and soffit and fascia for a long time. At gutterpros.com, you can find out what they do. If you need new gutters, then Gutter Pros is the company to go to. If you come home and maybe a tree has fallen into your gutter, or if your gutters are just old and the water's coming over the sides rather than going down the spout, Gutter Pros has the capability of doing any kind of gutter that you need. Plus, they'll do leaf protection for gutters as well. And they'll come out, provide a free estimate anywhere within a 50-mile radius of their downtown office and sometimes further. Fully insured with workers' comp and public liability insurance. They're fantastic. They have a great sales staff that uses company trucks and company uniforms when they meet, and they try to respond quickly to provide a free estimate for you. Their general sales manager was born and raised right here in St. Louis. He knows his way around town, and he'll be out there in a flash. If you go to gutterpros.com to set up your appointment, GUTTER pros.com. They're fantastic. And water goes where they tell it to go at Gutter Pros.
I don't look too much at my, at my pathway. I don't look too much about my growth. I think you need to judge my growth on the growth of the team. I think that's the most important thing, how you can judge what I've done as a coach and what my team behind me and supporting me has done as coaching staff, right? Who you guys don't get to see and they don't get the credit. But, those guys, I'm nothing without them. So just making sure that, for me, my journey is about, giving a platform, providing development for players to grow, not just on the field, but also off the field. So, and I've seen leaps and bounds of growth. So, again, I never get too high, never get too low. I just try and stay in the moment. But, yeah, listen, when it's all said and done, I think in a week's time, I'll sit back and reflect and just think about what you asked me.
Bradley Carnell, head coach of St. Louis City SC, and they had a magnificent regular season and were swept out of the playoffs by their rivals, Sporting Kansas, which wasn't fun. It's a bummer to have a season end the way it did. But I think if you look big picture, especially based upon expectations coming into the season, this was a fun and memorable and magical season for St. Louis City SC. And it didn't matter to me whether they got knocked out by Kansas City or somebody else. It was still a great year.
It was a great year. I mean, it wasn't obviously not the end result that you wanted, but based on where everyone in the league picked you to finish 13th, 14th, you finished number one in your division. The playoffs are a different animal, though, and I hope that this team gained some experience from that experience and not performing at the level I know that they wish they would have or know that they could have, and come back next year with a hunger and a desire to not only finish the regular season in the way that they did this year, but go into the playoffs, with a mindset that we're going to punch and not be punched first. I think that was the main thing. They got punched in the mouth quickly in that first game versus Sporting KC, and were never able to really rebound. Had more fight in game two, but just unable to get the win and unable to finish the deal in the manner in which I know that they wish they could have.
And that's the feeling that you could tell at the end there when they were talking their post game, is that it was a magical regular season, and that doesn't take away from this ending result, but it makes it sting even more. Especially, it feels like one of the worst feelings in sports in general is when you have just things abruptly end like that, especially with everything that they have built up. You have a historic season, inaugural season for City SC, years in the making, and for it to end this abruptly is a very painful pill to swallow. But I hope that they keep that sour taste in their mouth going into next season, because you need to take that energy. Now, you can't use the excuse of, well, we don't know what the playoffs are like, because you were able to experience it.
Right. And Matthew, tactically, one of the things that happened in the playoffs is that Kansas made it a point to force St. Louis City SC to have the ball. Do they need to be more adaptable in the way they approach the game so that they aren't stuck with the ball all the time?
Yeah, I mean, I think the system, it's a good system to play, and it's the right system to play when you're an expansion team, and it worked out for you. But the bottom line is you have to get more talent across the board. That'll help you be more clinical in the final third. Because, I mean, they looked better, and they adapted in game two. They had the possession a little bit more. They were a little bit more clinical. But I think you could see, even in the moments where they were getting the ball into the final third against Sporting Kansas City, that just the attacking talent that you were seeing from Sporting wasn't coming there. There was one late in the third, I remember, or late in the second half, where they got the ball so deep, almost to the touchline of Kansas City's side, and the frame was only showing 3 St. Louis players, and it was showing 7 Kansas City defenders. Now, yes, they were playing more back because they were leading at that point, but the point is that where's the rest of the team tracking up the field to support the attack? That's what I think you saw lacking, and that's where getting more talent, especially at the fullback spots, will really help that overall.
And what do you guys think of Nico not being in the lineup until late yesterday?
I'm fine with him being a sub. I mean, I get, because the whole process is that you're going to be bringing in some new energy. I like that, the thing that we asked for, Sam and Dinnerin, is that you have 2 strikers up top. Of course, that didn't pan out exactly how that you wanted to, but I like that you can bring Nico in to bring in some new, fresh energy, some fresh blood. And I also liked bringing in Celio Pompeo, and the energy that he brought is exactly what they needed. When you're talking about that effort in the second half, Pompeo was a big part of that. I also thought that in general, when you're kind of looking at some of the other things, I thought it was a great performance by Kyle Hebert and what he was able to do. Akil Watts, there's definitely some room to go there, and I was a little surprised by Blum and the fact that he was caught flat-footed in that first goal, but it's all a learning experience. And it just kind of seems that in sports in general, but especially with soccer, and you could even say baseball, as we saw with the Diamondbacks, you just have to be hot towards the end there. And it felt like they tailed off towards the end, especially in June. You could start to see them tail off energy-wise a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. And they kind of hit a resurgent point, and then they died off at the end of the season. And I think it's, I think we saw it with City, too. It's just your players have to step up and make plays in the playoffs. When I threw out a tweet yesterday, I was thinking about the Cardinals last exit when I said it. And I'm like your best offensive players disappear and your specialists fall apart. Klaus and Adeniran were not able to make an impact in that game, and Leuven was terrible in set pieces. They eventually moved Vasilev into the corner kick spots from one of the sides because Leuven at one point took out a divot that they were joking about, being worse than the golfer's divot.
Yeah. So he thought they were saying Leuven.
And so,
That's not what was happening.
It's exactly the same thing. Your top offense falls apart, and your specialists fail to do what they did the entire season leading up to there. If you don't get your big name players playing well in the playoffs, you're rarely going to win.
Be careful, because you're saying players need to play in the playoffs, and we know.
I know it's become kind of like our thing on this show, but it's
managers and coaches around here, Randy. What the hell are you talking about?
There's things to criticize the manager for, and I think if you watch game one and then you watch game two, you can chalk it up to that Bradley Carnell made some changes and they were effective. You can look at the game from the first half to the second half, and you can look at the change to Pompeu, and you can say that was an effective change. And I think he brought it up as well. You look at the development and growth. Yeah, let's criticize Akil Watts for having a bad game. At the beginning of the season, he was a defensive midfielder, and then he played right back for half the season. That's impressive.
Right back where?
right back.
You were so quick on that one. That was good. And he played it well for a huge chunk of the season. That's not nothing. That's coaching. That's development. That's what you want to see.
And coming up next on 101 ESPN, we've got our rush hour reset. We've got Monday Night Football. It's going to be a thriller tonight. You've got the Jets and the Chargers. But then you've got the Jets and the Blues tomorrow, so it gets a little bit better. We're going to talk about it here on 101 ESPN. Hey, the holidays are just around the corner, and you want to make sure that your home is in tip-top shape for the guests who'll be visiting or staying with you, whether it be for Thanksgiving or late December. And at Hoffman Brothers, consider them your North Star for home repairs this holiday season. Hoffman Brothers can do it all, from heating and air conditioning repairs and replacement to clogged drains in your shower or sink. And especially at this time of year, as it gets cooler here in St. Louis towards the holiday season, you want to make sure that your furnace is in great shape. And at Hoffman Brothers, they do. Join their home protection plan. They'll come out, they'll check out your home, they'll check out your furnace and make sure that it is in tip-top shape and it doesn't go down during the cold winter months here in St. Louis. They do so much more at Hoffman Brothers. They fix appliances, refrigerators, ovens, stoves, whatever. They'll take care of electrical and plumbing in your home. And they're a proud Mitsubishi Electric heating and air conditioning elite contractor. Hoffman Brothers on the web at hoffmanbros.com, HOFFMANN, hoffmanbros.com, or give them a call, 314-664-3011, and make that appointment today at Hoffman Brothers.
Opening drive with a rush hour reset.
We have Monday Night Football here on 101 ESPN this evening. The New York Football Jets can move within a half game of first in the AFC East if they can beat the Chargers. They lost Aaron Rodgers on, the fifth play of the season, and they have a chance, if they win tonight, to be within a half game of the division lead. I'll tell you what, if you're looking for midseason coach of the year, Robert Saleh has to be right there, doesn't he?
He definitely is. I think DeMeco Ryans is there. To lose your quarterback the first drive of a season that you spent so much of the offseason, putting so much into the expectation of how well Aaron Rodgers would be for this team, to lose him that early definitely puts a sour taste in your mouth if you're the New York Jets and that fan base. But he's performing. He's doing a great job of holding them together, keeping them together despite that injury.
For when Rodgers comes back in December.
No.
That's soon.
Listen, I love it. I think it's wonderful that he can take dropbacks and throw a football. Try that with a 300-pound person trying to hit you in the face. It's a little different. And so it looks wonderful. You can't put him out there with an inability to protect himself. He can get down if need be, but who the hell wants to do that? He's going to be in trouble. Now, it looks great. Everything looks great. Oh, he's dropping back. He's got a special shoe on. Yeah, okay. Cool.
Special shoe.
Try it when there are grown adult men running at you full speed, and let's see if you have the ability to do all of those
just
things.
let Zach Wilson take the hits.
You mean because you're going to get hit.
Yeah.
You're going to get hit.
Yep. So the New York Jets in action tonight. The Winnipeg Jets here in St. Louis tomorrow. Blues have won 2 in a row. And Captain Braden Shen not only scored his first goal, but watched his team get what hopefully is a little bit of traction here. Does he feel it?
It's early. It's 2 games. We're not going to say where we need to be right now. But like I said, from where we were after the Colorado game or games previous before that to where we are now, I think guys are buying into playing hard hockey. And if you look around the league, the teams that want easy nights and rush chances and stuff like that usually don't win a whole lot of hockey games. So, our D-zone's been good. Guys are playing hard defensively, and obviously the O-zone. Like I said, it's just a commitment to get into the net, scoring greasy goals, ugly goals, and when you do stuff like that, other things open up for you, and guys get rewarded.
To the tune of 10 goals in 2 games, and getting a few greasy goals.
We talked about that last week, right? Why not just set up shop in front of the opposing team's net and get some greasy goals? You also have a chance to be right there for the rebound. Get some greasy goals. And for them to be able to do that, thank you. And also, just some good forecheck. Taking the shot instead of the extra pass, doing all those things, fantastic. I think that splitting up Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou, and when we were talking about it before, I was wondering, because I'm sure that you pictured when you're signing both of them that they would be on the same line. Does that essentially matter in the long run? No, because you're going to move things around. But I really like Jordan Kyrou with Braden Shen. I think that those two, you saw early on in the season, Braden Shen kind of making sure that Jordan Kyrou would stay in line with that little scuffle that they had had during practice. And I think that Braden Shin showcases as a captain, he doesn't do things to bully you. It's to bring the best out of you. And with Jordan Kyrou buying in on that, then you see it pay off on the offensive side for him.
The best captains, the best teammates are the ones that hold you accountable, that not only do their job at a high level, but have the expectation of you doing your job at a high level, because we are all in this together. And I really can't ask you to do something that I am unwilling to do if I'm a leader of a team. So, he's showing it. He's going out every single day doing his best job. And I think the guys are starting to rally around that identity. I think that's part of it as well. They needed to find an identity. They need to find an identity. Yes. Who are they going to be? Are they defensively? We know you're going to give up a lot of shots, but how are you going to be as a team collectively? What is your identity? And getting in front of the goal, getting those greasy goals, as he said, making it tough on opposing goalies and opposing defenses. I think that helps you win more games, and that showed over the weekend.
College football, Mizzou falls to number 16 in the AP poll, number 15 in the coaches poll. And Mizzou will take on 14th-ranked Tennessee on Saturday at Faurot Field. Another CBS 2:30 game for Mizzou 7-2 and Tennessee 7-2.
Now here's where the wheels cannot fall off. If you are Mizzou, you go to Georgia, you play a hell of a game, you come up short, you have a chance to actually win that game. You cannot show up on Saturday versus Tennessee and have a lackluster performance. You cannot show up and be lethargic and not be, competitive in that game, because you everything is still in front of you. You still have a chance to be in a New Year's Six bowl game. They have to show up. And as I said before, Illinois was in the same exact position last year. For as much as people talk bad about Illinois, we were 7-1, lost to Michigan State. They were 7-1, lost to Georgia. It unraveled for us. Missouri has a chance to make sure that it does not unravel. Tennessee is not going to be an easy game for them.
They're tough. They're good.
It's going to be a tough game, so you have to take care of your business if you're Missouri and still hold on to that rope. Don't give in. Don't give up.
No, I agree. You can't let that happen against Tennessee. I was impressed because I think for a game for Mizzou, I know that they have played well against Georgia in recent years. But when you're trying to make sure the conversation is, well, does this team really deserve to be ranked right now? To me, they show that they do deserve to be ranked. And it's not about coming away with a moral victory, but the fact that they were able to go toe-to-toe with Georgia and it comes down to the fourth quarter says a lot.
I would have never dreamed that USC at this point in the season would be out of the top 25. They've allowed more than 40 points on numerous occasions this year. And yesterday they fired their defensive coordinator, Alex Grinch. That's Gary Pinkel's son-in-law, by the way. And he's been with Lincoln Riley, both at Oklahoma and at USC. USC has surrendered 101 total points in the last two games. They're ranked 87th in the country defensively, and so they have fired their defensive coordinator.
He had no choice. And it's giving up that many points. You score 42 points on offense, you're supposed to win the game. But you gave up 52 on the opposite end. He had no choice, and I'm sure that was a tough conversation from Lincoln Riley to a guy that he's been with for all of these years. As you said, at Oklahoma, brought him with him to USC. But if you can't stop people, and if you expect your offense to put up 45 points a game, and you're not going to keep your job, and so they had to go in a different direction. USC obviously out of the playoff contention, out of the playoff talks. And I will say that there was some video of Caleb Williams crying on the sideline, and there were people that were bothered by it. That man has done everything he can do for that team. Won the Heisman last year. I'm sure had the idea that they were going to be in a national championship conversation this year, and he understood that loss really kicked them out of that conversation. I had no problem with how he responded, because that's a guy that cares about winning, and they didn't win.
And to me, it wasn't because of him. Well, one, you fired defensive coordinator because of what happened. I mean, you put up 42 points. Is that what it was?
Yeah, he lost 52-42.
Yeah, 52-42. And he had a great game, completed 27 of 35 of his passes for 312 yards, 3 touchdowns, did no interceptions there, 1 fumble though. But I thought that was really interesting to see all the people on social media, even former players, well-known players, coming after Caleb Williams. It was like that they were waiting for some moment to kind of rub it in his face that, no, you shouldn't get all these things that you've been wanting and talking about.
Yeah, I mean, people are always going to pick it. I mean, he's a guy that has done the painting of his nails and done all of the. He's a guy that talks. And so whenever you're a guy that talks,
Then that
when
comes
you
with it.
fail, people are like, yes, I knew it. I knew you weren't as good as you thought you were. I'm glad you didn't have you're not having the success that you think you should have. It's just one of the things that people do, and social media allows for people to do that. You know, they have to find something better to do with themselves.
And finally, a couple of notes from yesterday in the NFL. Daniel Jones, Giants quarterback, they fear has a torn ACL, probably does. And bad news for Kyler's film room. Dallas Goedert, the Eagles tight end, has a broken arm.
That's
Broken
big
forearm.
NFL news.
Great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Well, if you are the New York Giants and you spent this money on Daniel Jones and you were unsure if to spend that money on him to begin with, you know now it was probably not a great idea. He's going to be out for the year. He's going to miss a portion of next year if the ACL is indeed torn, which they fear it is. That has to be a really, really it has to weigh on you as the front office of the New York Giants to make that decision and it not pan out the way that you thought it would or that it should.
Does it weigh on you, or does that seat get a little hotter?
Well, I think Brian Daboll is fine. I think he's okay. I mean, he was the coach of the year last year, but it hasn't looked good, and he's been extremely frustrated. And I guess I wonder, with you paying Daniel Jones what you paid him, are you trying to draft a quarterback early in the first round of next year's draft? Do you say, you know what, we made a mistake? Not only did we pay him this money and we don't think he should have gotten it, now he's injured and he's not going to play. We probably need to lose some more games and hopefully be get a higher draft pick going into next year.
So what you need to do is just get a former Illini quarterback.
Tommy DeVito, ILL. Good luck, brother. Woof. It ain't been, oh, man. I kind of feel bad for the guy.
Yeah, he's in a bad situation.
He's in a bad situation. He was supposed to be a practice squad quarterback essentially the entire year. Yeah, you're a rookie undrafted quarterback thrusted into a starting position. He's got, I think, like 15 yards passing this season. Yeah, it's not been great for old Tommy DeVito. And he's getting picked apart by everyone. He's in a city where obviously everyone's watching, and he's getting picked apart by. He had 175 yards last game, but the first game he had like 14, I think.
And finally, Major League Baseball did a wonderful thing to try to get word out there about their product. On a Sunday night of NFL action, they decided to reveal their Gold Glove winners.
That was so random.
It's so weird. Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. But the Cardinals, for the first time since 2017, don't have a Gold Glove winner. They've had them in 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. They didn't have Gold Glove winners in 17 or 16, but then you go 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, and then they didn't have any in 2007 either. So the Cardinals ordinarily do have Gold Glove winners. This, I hope, is an anomaly that the Cardinals didn't get one this year.
I really hope so. Please don't tell me that that's not going to be, because that would be very devastating.
Well, they need to be better defensively. And
yes.
The Major League Baseball general manager meetings start tomorrow in Scottsdale, so my guess is that the Cardinals are not going to tell their fans anything about their season during this week either.
Press conference. We've been, I mean, it's the end of the World Series. World Series been over for a few days now.
Yeah,
we were told at the end of the season we'll wait till the end of the World Series. Now we're here. And so,
now you got to wait after the GM meetings.
When the hell is this press conference going to take place?
I don't think that they really want to communicate with their fans at this point, because they lost 90 games. Well, here's the question. Here's the thing.
What are you hiding? Huh?
Yeah.
Come out.
Maybe they're embarrassed. I don't know. Or maybe they want to wait until they do something that has the perception of improving things. But at the end of the day, this is a franchise where, for the first time since 1916, a manager came back after a 90-loss season. Hadn't happened very often. But in the other 90-loss seasons that the Cardinals have had, they haven't brought back the same group. Now, what they can say now, and they should, is, well, Torey Lovullo lost 110 games a couple of years ago, and he was in the World Series. That's got to be their play. I just gave you your roadmap. You can have a press conference talk to your fans.
Listen, my roadmap your roadmap should be your own, because the expectation to lose 100 games and then be in the World Series, I tell you all this all the time. There are exceptions to the rules. The Phillies were the exception last year when they fired their manager halfway through and made it to the World Series. There are exceptions to every rule. if you go about your business, say, oh, well, we did it in 2019. Well, look at the Blues. Look at what that's the exception. That generally doesn't happen when coach. Do you think the damn Las Vegas Raiders are going to win the Super Bowl? They fired their coach. Hell no.
No.
Because the rule is you fire your coach halfway through the season, your team is terrible, and it ain't going to change. So those situations are the exceptions. The Cardinals need to sit down, figure out, and I'm sure they have, but they need to figure out what their offseason plan is, which pitchers they are going to try to get in free agency, and actually go and get those guys or make a valiant effort to make sure it happens. If that doesn't happen, you need to find somebody via trade, and you have to get it done, because if you go into the next season with the same starting rotation, or you bring up some of these younger guys that were in the minors that didn't get a chance to play last year, this team and these fans are going to lose it.
2013, John Mozeliak traded David Freese to the Angels at the general managers' meetings in November. 2014, he traded Shelby Miller and got back Jason Hayward at the general managers' meetings in November. So they're not immune to doing things at this time of year. Hopefully that's why they haven't done anything, because they've got irons in the fire, as it were.
Yeah, you just need to hold a press conference that says, you know what, nobody wants to hear the goal this year. We're going to win 54% of the time. You just need to do that, right?
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
You do that.
Oh, that was Jerry Dipoto.
Or what you could do is just say, our goal is to be the National League playoff team with the fewest victories. Because that gets us to the World Series. Recent history would dictate that's the case.
That's the exception, again.
3 in a row.
3 years an exception.
Cardinals have done it a couple times. Last 2 times the Cardinals went to the World Series.
How many times has it happened in baseball history? It's been like 100 years of baseball.
Since the expanded playoffs, probably, 6 or 7 out of 20?
No, I wouldn't trust it.
Coming up on 101 ESPN, is Eli Drinkwitz building a program, or does he just have a team this year? That's next on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you're not feeling great today, guys, I've got a solution for you, and it's mentality. If you're beyond the age of 30 and you're feeling maybe a little bit fatigued, maybe you're tired all the time, maybe you're dealing with anxiety or maybe even depression, well, you should go to Mentality. They're in Chesterfield and in South County. You can find them on the web at lowtusa.com. And they know about those symptoms, and those are symptoms that are associated with decreased levels of testosterone. All of us as guys lose our testosterone as the years go by. And at Mentality, they have an FDA-approved testosterone treatment that is going to allow you to regain that sort of physical stamina, and it's going to reduce the anxiety and depression that you deal with. They're going to bring you in, they're going to do a complete test of where your testosterone level is, and then they have that FDA-approved testosterone treatment that they'll apply every single week, and you will feel great. They're going to work with your insurance company to make sure your out-of-pocket expenses are as low as possible. They do great work. They do it for me and thousands of people in St. Louis, and they will for you. It's Mentality at lowtusa.com.
They play about 28, 30 guys on defense. Pump fake, Cook, end zone, caught! Touchdown! Luther Burden the third, and Missouri strikes back. Schrader is in! Touchdown, Missouri! 12 yards, and the Tigers answer back in motion. Cook rolls right. Oh, he threw it away, and it's picked off! That's Stackhouse to the 20. Stackhouse down to the 5. Georgia.
If people don't think our group's a bunch of fighters who are going to fight you tooth and nail for every inch, I mean, we ain't got to prove it to y'all anyway. We came here to win, not to keep it close, not to try to get it in the fourth quarter and see what could happen. We tried to win. We played to win and came up short. And, don't regret the way any of the game played out. Don't regret the quarterback's decision. I mean, I don't regret him being our quarterback. I don't regret any of that stuff. We came here and played to win and didn't quite get it done. I'm not deterred from what we're trying to accomplish this year.
That is Mizzou head coach Eli Drinkwitz, whose teams in his previous 3 years have gone 5-5, 6-7, 6-7. And Eli has made it a point to say, hey, I'm only the second coach who has gone to a bowl at Mizzou in each of his first 3 seasons. And people say, well, big deal. Going to a bowl isn't a big deal now. Well, now his team is 7-2 as they get ready to take on Tennessee. And what he has to do that people like Larry Smith weren't able to do or Al Onofrio weren't able to do is sustain success. They can still have a really, really, really good season. They could be on the cusp of a New Year's Day Bowl. I know Jerry Palm, as of last week, had Mizzou playing in the Music City Bowl, which would be really cool. But what you have to do is if you have that 9-win season, 10-win season, you have to be able to sustain it. And historically, Mizzou hasn't, except for Gary Pinkel, they haven't been able to sustain success. And I'm wondering if this is just a team for Eli Drinkwitz. Like, he'll lose Cody Schrader after this season. He's going to lose a couple of key defenders. Or is he building a program? And is he going to have people in place, whether through recruiting or the transfer portal, to replace those that are departing?
I think he's building something right now with Brady Cook and Luther Burden returning, I assume, next season. Knock on wood that nothing happens. I know the transfer portal can get crazy, but you're assuming that Brady Cook and Luther Burden are going to be back next season. And their connection is something that is just continuing to grow and flourish. So I think that is a huge upside. Now, as I mentioned earlier when we were talking about Mizzou and their defense, I think specifically their corners were fantastic this past weekend. They're going to have some guys that maybe you will look at that will be playing on Sunday, so you might learn or have some turnover in that regard when it comes to Mizzou's defense. But at the same time, the way that Baker has really been able to navigate a lot of things through Mizzou's defense, even losing players like a Nick Bolton that we've seen in recent years, different things like that, I think that says a lot about Mizzou and their resilience and what they're building. And bringing in Kirby Moore, I thought, was a great decision by Eli Drinkwitz to help him with that. He even mentioned during an interview Kirby recently that bringing in kind of this new guy in Kirby Moore has really opened up things offensively, and you're seeing that this season. I think that has played in their success. So if you're talking about worrying about players entering the transfer portal, they've shown a lot of exciting things this season where I think you're building enough of a nucleus where they can build off of this, and I don't see that the Brady Cook and Luther Burden would be leaving.
I do agree that he is building a program. I think they have turned things around from what they've had the last few years. This is an important season to finish this season strong. And like I said, not let the wheels fall off because you lost to Georgia. You got Tennessee, then you have Florida, then you have Arkansas. All winnable games, but also all losable games because those are...
Maybe not Arkansas.
Arkansas played Alabama pretty tough. Now, they're not really good, but when that's your rival, it's always going to be, well, generally should be a tough game. But you have to make sure that the wheels don't fall off. And right now, they're in a perfect position to end up with 9-10 wins on the season, going to a bowl game, and having a really successful season. And you build on that. You build on that, as you said, via transfer portal, via signing guys, recruiting the right guys out of high school, and make sure you get the right people that you want to build with. But that comes with also being the type of person that people want to play for. So, if you're a college coach, if things don't go your way in the recruiting and you don't get a guy, you have to still take the high road because that kid could come back to you later on. That kid could decide that, I wanted to go to Georgia, but you know what? Georgia isn't what I thought it would be. I want to come back home to Missouri, or I want to come to Mizzou now because I've seen what they've done and how well they play. So taking care of yourself and your business in the transfer portal while you're high school recruiting, all of those things are important in regards to building a program.
And here's going to be the key. They brought back one of the most experienced defenses in all of college football this year. They have 8 listed seniors on defense. Now, some of those guys will come back because you still have the COVID year that players are given, and you have 3 listed seniors on your offensive line. So this is where you find out whether you have a program. As you head into 2024, are you developing players that are prepared to replace those that are departing? And that's, especially at the quarterback position, that's something that has hurt Mizzou over the years. By the way, Brady Cook also listed as a senior, and we know he's coming back next year.
Yeah, they got guys that are in place for the next few years, which you have your quarterback coming back. That is a great sign because the guy has had success this year, and you want that guy to continue to grow in your program and in your organization to make sure he's doing all of the things that you need him to do. But again, it's about recruiting and evaluating talent and then developing that talent when they get on your roster, get on your team, get in Columbia. Those are the things that allow your program to continue to grow. Right now, it's a great season. Now, finish this season off right. You can't go and have a 6-5 season next year or a 5-6 season next year. You got to win 8 to 9 games next year as well. That's when you're starting to build that program up. That's what Gary Pinkel did. He was able to have sustained success year after year where teams and players around the city and around the country were like, I want to go play in Missouri because they are building something there. And that's what building a program is. That's what it consists of.
And also getting fans in. I know that might sound a little bit silly, but this will be, again, they announced against Tennessee, it will be their 4th sellout this season,
right.
I believe.
Every game now is sold out the rest of the season.
And that also attracts players, especially when you're talking about young players or guys that you're recruiting and bringing in. That really is something that draws people. And if you're looking at the Music City Bowl, that's something that they look at too, is are these fans going to be able to travel well and come up and show support? And I think the Music City Bowl would be perfect. Maybe I'm being a little biased because then that's like an easy drive for me.
If you're in the Music City Bowl and you get to draft, if you have the choice between Tennessee and Mizzou, you're taking Tennessee.
With all due respect to the Music City Bowl, if I'm Missouri and we're playing in the Music City Bowl, that is not a finish to the season that I wanted. That's just me personally because of where you are right now. You went and played the number 1 team, number 2 team in the country to the limit. You gave them everything you had. The only other team you've lost to is LSU, who is a really good team as well. If I'm playing in the Music City Bowl at the end of this year, I'm probably a little bit frustrated. I should be playing, if I win out, should be playing on New Year's Day. That's what I think Missouri should be shooting for.
In Tampa.
And they should be playing one of those games. I don't care about how people get there or if they're willing to go. It's about no offense to the fans, But this program, if they want to be a program that is sustainable, playing in the Music City Bowl is not something that a high school kid is going to say, yeah, I would love to play there. No, hell no. You want to play in the games that everybody is watching on New Year's Day. So that should be what they're shooting for.
And right now, okay, so you have Tennessee, Florida, and then Arkansas. I mean, I feel like these are 3 games that they can win, obviously.
I do too, yeah. Right, by the way, Jerry Palm right now has North Carolina against Mizzou in the Gator Bowl on December 29th. Is that sufficient?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's okay. It's okay, but no. I don't think that that's I don't think that that's good enough. If I'm Missouri.
What's the ReliaQuest Bowl? Wherever Tampa is. Oh, yeah, the ReliaQuest Bowl in Tampa.
Is that the old Outback Bowl?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay. I could.
We're good.
The Outback Bowl is good.
I could do that.
All right. Coming up on 101 ESPN, what's it going to take for the Ravens to be considered the best team in the AFC? That's coming your way on 101 ESPN. Folks, I want to welcome Ambassador Midwest Floor to the opening drive. You know, the holidays are coming fast, and if you're not sure what to get, maybe you should floor your family with Ambassador Midwest Floor. Just buy a gift card of $500 or more, and you'll get an extra 10% bonus on your flooring. Choose from the largest selection of hardwood, laminate, carpet, and luxury vinyl from famous brands like Binnington, Robbins, Bruce, Carndine, and Armstrong. Or use your gift card for hardwood refinishing, custom area rugs, stair runners, and more. They'll even gift wrap a digital photo frame with flooring ideas for you that you can give at the holidays. Get started online at ambassadorfloor.com for all the details. Talk with the flooring experts at Ambassador Midwest Floor who can help you choose the best floors for your budget and your style. Even pet-proof flooring. Your family will be floored when they see the new floors on your digital photo frame. So buy a gift card of $500 or more and get an extra 10% bonus when you buy new floors in the new year. Plus, you'll get upfront installation by their 100-employee master craftsmen. Shop Ambassador Midwest Floor in Glendale and in Chesterfield Valley. Love your floors and experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor at ambassadorfloor.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Over the weekend, the Blues get back-to-back wins over the Devils and Canadiens. They're back in action on Tuesday, facing off against the Jets. 7 p.m. puck drop, 6 p.m. pregame, right here on 101 ESPN. Also over the weekend, St. Louis City SC falls 2-1 to Sporting Kansas City. They are swept out of the MLS Cup playoffs 2-0 in this first-round series by Sporting Kansas City. City will have a couple months off now before they're back in action for the CONCACAF Champions Cup in February. Also over the weekend, Missouri loses to number 2 Georgia 30-21. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your road and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
As Mitchell gets the toss, he's going to get a 100-yard game on this run. Oh, my goodness, he breaks it again. Cuts back. Thrown down at the 18-yard line. Going to be a fantasy waiver wire sensation this week.
Jim Nantz on CBS. The Baltimore Ravens have scored the 4th most points in the NFL with 239. They have allowed the fewest at 124. And the point differential for the Ravens, largest in the league. They're plus 115 points. The number 2 team in the league, the Buffalo Bills, are plus 80. So the Ravens are 35 points ahead of the second-place team in terms of point differential in the league. Yet, when we talk about the standings and the best teams in the league, it seems like Kansas City always gets brought up. It seems like Jacksonville, hot, gets brought up. Obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles get brought up because they're 8-1. But seems to me that right now, the best team in the league is the Baltimore Ravens. Are they not getting as much respect as they should get?
I think they aren't. And I'm not sure why. I think the expectation of what they were going to do offensively when they changed offensive coordinators, they started the season off a little bit slow. And the 2 losses that they do have, one to Indianapolis, which was I still don't know how they lost that game. And then the last-second loss, last fourth quarter loss to the Steelers where Kenny Pickett threw the touchdown to George Pickens. Those are their only 2 losses on the season. They really could be undefeated this year because they have played really well for 3 quarters of each of those games. In the fourth quarter, they weren't able to finish it. I don't know why they don't get talked about in the manner in which other teams do. And I guess because Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, they were in the Super Bowl. They won last year. The Eagles were also in the Super Bowl last year. I think coming into the season, everyone expected Josh Allen and the Bills to be the team. They are not. And then Joe Burrow started off the season extremely slow. Now he's starting to warm up. But the team that has been consistent throughout has been the Ravens, especially on the AFC side. So I wouldn't. They were my pick to make it to the Super Bowl alongside of the San Francisco 49ers. I'm still going to hold on to them coming out of the AFC.
Does it just circle back to it being such a competitive, the AFC North, as we discussed earlier, it's just such a competitive group of teams there. And it feels like every single one of them are building momentum in different ways. Mm-hmm. And then you have the Bengals in there. And it feels like all the attention always goes back to the Bengals because of Joe Burrow and what he's able to do. Early on this season, battling a calf injury, we know that hampered him a bit, but he looks like he's completely fine now. So is that the big reason why? Is because people just think that the cream will rise to the top, and that being the Bengals?
And I think star power plays a big role here, Brooke. And you just brought up names from the Bengals. Back in the day, it was Ray Lewis, and it was Ed Reed, and it was Terrell Suggs. You look at the great Ravens defense right now, and they are great, but the biggest star is Roquan Smith. They don't really have a star-laden or name-laden group, and I think that's part of it is if people don't know the players, they don't respect them as much. Yeah. But they will. Once this team plays a playoff game, they'll know these guys. Matabuike is a really good player. Their defensive backfield, Kyle Hamilton, is terrific in the defensive backfield, and they don't even have their whole team yet because they don't have Marlon Humphrey on a regular basis. He's terrific. But I think once we see more of them, I think we'll like them more.
Yeah, I think, looking at this AFC side, the Baltimore Ravens and the Bengals, I'm sure will eventually have their record match what I think they are, and they will be two playoff teams. I think the Steelers may be able to sneak in there, but when you're looking at everyone else outside, I still don't trust the Jacksonville Jaguars. They aren't a team that I look at and say, oh, yeah, they can make a push or a run in the playoffs. I just look at them as they're in a division. They should win that division, but I don't expect much from them.
But for whatever reason, like John Harbaugh, and we'll get to Harbaugh in a second, Doug Peterson seems to find a way with his staff. Last year in the playoffs against the Chargers, right? They fall way behind and they come back and win the game.
They have more the Chargers than the dang.
No, but if you have number 16, you have a chance.
I do. I just don't. For me, I still think the Jaguars are a year or two away.
They aren't dominant by any stretch.
They don't strike me as a dominant team. The Miami Dolphins, another team that is 0-3 versus teams with a winning record, above 500. They aren't performing well against the really good teams. And then you look at the Kansas City Chiefs are the Kansas City Chiefs. You know what they're going to be and what they're going to do. But it's going to be, for me, the Kansas City Chiefs and one of these AFC North teams, because I don't really trust the Dolphins. I don't really trust the Jaguars. And there's nobody in those no other teams in those divisions that I would trust to think that they're going to do something come playoff time.
Now, I talk about Belichick being overrated because he only won with one quarterback. Number one, John Harbaugh won a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco as his quarterback. And now he adapted his offense, and one of the best quarterbacks in the league is playing a completely different system than the system that Joe Flacco played. The defense has turned over completely. Those Hall of Famers are gone, and yet they're still playing great defense. Now, it's not all Harbaugh, but he clearly knows how to pick out a staff, too. I think John Harbaugh, if Belichick is the most overrated coach in the league, I think Harbaugh might be the most underrated.
If you're looking at most complete teams in the NFL, it would have to be, I still think the 49ers are there, but they would probably be the third. I think the Eagles would be the second. I think Baltimore would be the first in terms of most complete teams in the NFL right now. Kansas City still hasn't. I don't know. I don't trust their offense.
No.
They scored 21. One of them came from a fumble recovery.
And in the opener, Baltimore lost their version of McCaffrey and J.K. Dobbins when he went down. So they're doing it with backup running backs too, a running team.
Yeah, and maybe it is just that you don't have as big of the names. But I still think Lamar Jackson is a pretty big name. And then you have Odell Beckham, which I know was a big name and has dropped off in recent years. But he got his first touchdown. It was like forever ago that he got his last touchdown in the NFL.
Was it in the Super Bowl? Did he score one in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And Tyler Huntley threw the touchdown pass to him yesterday in garbage time.
Yes.
But good for him.
Yes, good.
He leaves Kyler's film room and gets a touchdown finally.
How painful was that?
It hurt.
No.
And Matthews, what's your team called? Matthews' Excellent Team or something?
Yeah,
like that?
I have no.
Didn't he auto-draft? Matthew, didn't you auto-draft, or am I just imagining that?
Basically.
2 of my first 4 picks got auto-drafted because my app thing kept signing me in and out during the draft because my internet's not doing that great.
And that's the team.
You got a chance, Randy?
That's the team that beat me yesterday. Yeah, Justin Herbert needs to score about 50 tonight.
Yeah.
Against the Jets defense.
And he can't throw any of those passes to Austin Eckler.
That's true. Coming up, we're going to head down the stretch with Rocc and Roll, or Rock or Roll, here on 101 ESPN.
You wouldn't trust a butcher to babysit your pet pig. You wouldn't trust a lumberjack to repair your antiques. Or a professional wrestler to be your massage therapist. So why would you trust anyone but AMCO to fix your car? For over 50 years, we've been the trusted experts in transmission repair.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
AA MCO.
Save big money on all your home and small business needs at Menards. Plus, get 11% off everything. We carry a variety of electronic devices that will help make your life easier, like a VTech cordless phone system with digital answering and caller ID. Right now, pick up a VTech answering system with 2 cordless phones for just $39.95 after 11% off. Good through November 12th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
.101 ESPN has your chance to score free tickets to Green Day on August 15th at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. Green Day will be back this August with special guest Rancid for a huge show at the amphitheater. Get all the ticket details and get entered to win those free tickets for the show right now, either at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 mobile app.
And roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
A couple of things going on here in the studio. Number one, the sun shines right in Matthew Rocchio's eyes when it comes up in the morning. And we have these blinds. Well, the blinds wouldn't close all the way, so I was trying to close the blinds.
You're a great guy.
And I've been lifting.
Oh, is that what happened, Randy? Just too strong.
Oh, yeah. So I pulled the blinds down, so now the sun is in everybody's eyes.
Bad day in here.
So we were having a little debate during the break about who is going to moan and complain the most about not having the blinds. Of all the shows and all the people in all the shows, who's going to whine the most?
Randy, why don't you answer first?
I think where I'm sitting right now, when the sun gets to about 1 o'clock, I think it's going to be right in BK's eyes. And I feel for the guy. The sun's going to be right in his eyes, and he's not going to be able to see his computer. It's going to be BK. I feel bad for him. I'm sorry already, BK.
I think it's going to be Jackson because he'll be up here in about 10, 15 minutes, and it's going to be, we're looking at Rocc on the screen right now. He's trying to stay in the shadows, but it's not really working out well for him. So I think it's going to be right in Jackson's face here in about 15 to 20 minutes.
He'll be glowing.
The sun goes down at like 4:30 now, so the fast lane is not going to be overly effective.
They will be impacted just a tad, though, because they don't have any lights on. They usually have the lights flowing, the strobe lights going.
Yeah.
And so if they're unable to get these blinds fixed, it's going to be a rough show for them for the first hour and a half as well.
Yeah. So the other thing that happened when the blinds fell is that we had a major dust storm in our studio.
Yeah. When was the last time this place was clean?
It's been a while. Brooke's been coughing, and I've been... You've been coughing for a couple of weeks.
No, it's not. Okay, well, today's the first day that I haven't.
Right.
I was trying to keep it a secret, guys. Nobody knew,
Well,
all right?
Every time you cough, we said, bless you, so no one did know.
But yes, this weekend, I finally got over my cough.
Good.
So that is
and then
fantastic.
I restored it with the dust storm.
And I really did. But then everybody started sneezing in here, too. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Because it was just like a lot of dust.
Maybe I did everybody a favor.
Okay.
Maybe. Now there has to be some dusting going on.
Yeah, I think you got to get rid of it.
Yep. All right, Matthew, what do you got now that everybody knows our business in here?
Well, I something we didn't get to in that Missouri-Georgia game, and I'm not trying to focus too much on some questionable calls, but there was just one answer for me, Eli Drinkwitz, in the presser. If you guys remember, there was a late offensive pass interference call that was a little odd, mainly because it came right after an extremely odd defensive pass interference call that I have no idea what was going on in the first place. But then there was an OPI call, and then the referees got together and they decided there wasn't.
And they can review it?
An OPI call, and you can review it. Well, here was Eli Drinkwitz when asked about what he was told about that play.
You know, the thing about our league is that there's not really any explanations, and then there's no explanations to y'all from them. So, I mean, you can ask me all you want. I can't really say anything, but the better question is to ask them, because I thought it's, whether or not it's conclusive evidence. I can't see any conclusive evidence where the ball is, but apparently in Birmingham they found conclusive evidence. So I don't know. I guess you'll have to write a letter to somebody there and see if they'll answer it.
Not great by the SEC.
Who's going to write a letter?
Hey, Randy, you got to write a letter. You got to send the facts.
Yeah.
Song's older than I am.
Yeah, listen. Plays happen. Referees make mistakes. The mistakes that I can accept are the ones, I had a referee tell me on Friday night, I missed that one. My bad. I apologize. Cool. I can accept it. Like, it was a terrible miss, but at least you acknowledged it and can go on. And that's not the reason we lost on Friday night, nor is that reason for Missouri. I mean, there are a lot of plays in a game that take place. Again, Mizzou had the ball down 6 with an opportunity to drive it the length of the field and score a touchdown with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and they turned the ball over. I think that matters more than any call that was or was not made by a referee in the game.
When Vermeil took over the Rams in '97, the league hated the Rams because they moved here and had to file suit to move here. And Vermeil told the players because people told him, hey, we aren't getting any calls. And he told the players, look, you just don't have margin for error. You need to play above the officials. Just go into every game as if you're playing two other teams, the other team and the officials. And that's what you have to do. And Georgia has earned that benefit. They're the two-time defending champions. Not that they should. Is the rule in college that you can review pass interference? Because ultimately that's what it came down to. I don't know if the rule exists or not. Clearly it's okay because they did, but you have to be able to overcome the other team's reputation along with the other team.
I guess it was because they were reviewing. Because when he explained the call, he said that the ball did reach the line of scrimmage, and so therefore, or didn't reach the line of scrimmage, and so therefore it can't be OPI because I guess the thought is
it was thrown behind the
line of scrimmage. Therefore, he can be blocking.
Yes.
But at the same time, they also had like 5 linemen like 8 yards down.
But if the ball is thrown behind the line of scrimmage, it's essentially a screen.
Exactly. So you can be out there blocking, and so it can't be OPI.
Now, if you're past the line of scrimmage when you catch the ball, then it is offensive pass interference. But if they decided that it was caught behind,
there's a legal man downfield then.
Not if it's behind the line of scrimmage. He can be downfield. It is a screen. It's the same thing.
So what I thought was they called offensive pass interference and then they reviewed it.
I didn't see that part. I don't know if they came together as a group collectively and said, no, that ball was caught behind the line of scrimmage.
Kirby talked to the official.
Yep. He probably, and then they probably said, hey, yeah, maybe it was caught.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. Let's take a look, sir.
What's that logo on your jacket? Oh, it's a G. Oh, yeah. Let's get that flash back.
You don't like it, play better.
Yep. You're 100% right about that. You had a chance and you didn't convert. I wanted to also play one other post-game clip from this weekend. This is from Roman Berkey. He was asked about if there was one moment that stood out for him from this season, and I really thought when we talk about a captain of a squad, I don't know if you get a better answer than this.
No, and I don't want to, because I think the whole season together with everyone involved made it like the way it is, made it a great season, a special season, and so I don't really want to pick one point or one situation or one action, and I said to the team after the game, it's one thing that you're going to lose the game, but the game is one thing, but in my opinion I won because I didn't know what to expect, when I came here, and I met a lot of beautiful people and beautiful teammates, and I told them I'm just proud to be a part of the team, and in my opinion that's a win for this season.
I'll bet you his favorite part was a clean sheet.
That clean sheet mentality, he was big on that.
Yeah.
Didn't happen there in the end, but it happens.
That was a good answer from a captain.
That was
a fantastic answer from a captain.
That's what you want to hear.
Specific moment.
Not one moment. It was
all the beautiful people.
Yeah. And he said, I look at this season as a win. I won because all the beautiful people I met there. I like
winning the game of life.
That's a fantastic. Listen, come on. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's not. No, I don't like that one.
I like winning a cup that doesn't look like a cup.
There's always, you got a chance. You played an extremely good season, had a great year.
The United States
didn't finish it the way you would have liked, but all in all, I think next time
the United States is going to win the World Cup in like 3 or 4 runs at like 1,000-to-1 odds, and the first thing Randy's going to say the morning afterwards just be like, "Well, I'd be a lot happier if the trophy was an actual cup.
Call it the world, call it the globe or something."
The Stanley Cup is a cup. It makes sense.
The world trophy.
Yeah.
The world trophy?
The
world trophy. Great job today by our overall engineer, Matthew Rocc.
Video and audio engineer. We added the video today because what was it, like 5 minutes with no video in here?
Yeah. I had to hit a button.
And then we were getting text, turn the camera on.
There was one guy there was one person, I have to give them credit for this one. All they said in the YouTube chat was just your face. They didn't say, I want to see your face. They didn't say, why can't I see your face? It was just the
Where's your
words.
face?
Your face. Not even a question mark, just your face.
Straight to the point.
Yeah, right.
How about that?
How about that?
CD.
Show us your face. We want to see your face. Who said that? You want to see my face?
Your
There
face.
we go. We've got a balloon party coming up with T-Mac and Ajax, and then BK and Ferrario from 11 to 2, and then the Fast Lane from 2 to 6. We thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. For all of us, until tomorrow morning at 7. Have a great Monday, St. Louis.